Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Grandmaster Shaymin, and today we are going to be playing through the end of Fatal 12. This will be the last episode, I assume, unless something crazy happens. But in the last episode, we were left with a major decision as we have been finally made our way out of the previous ending and given a little bit of a slimmer of hope. But what we are going to do is we're going to assume that Rinka has her own power and do nothing. I'm surprised you even need to ask. I'll let things remain as they are. Well said. In that case, all you need to do is forge ahead through your own grief. I can't deny that it hurts. This part of my life, though. I would never have come to understand myself if I were alone. Following love is what helped me to do so. It's thanks to the time I spent with everyone that I know who I am. That's fine. That's how it should be. So please, don't leave me. Farewell, Rinka. Be sure to treasure your roots. Don't let these memories fade. Alright, Rinka, what are you going to do with this? That music? Is it just over? Oh? Not bad. I'm sitting on a bench at a park, sipping away on some coffee I made. I make it a point to remain here all day. I apparently need to be at this specific place today anyway. That's why I made some coffee for myself. I was given a plastic cup that's used for takeout samples, so I decided to give it a try. I should let Naomi try one out the next time I see her. This place is special to me. Many important things have happened here. It's where I first met Miharu. That's where I spent time with my gran. It's where Naomi said she'd shoulder my burden with me. It's my final destination. The place where all 12 of us were supposed to gather. That choice was mine. That I trust that my choice was the correct one. My memories of Miharu remain as a result. Today served as the end of divine selection forever. I still feel that power within me, but like the man said, it's only a matter of time until it fades away. Is there any meaning to the days that happened, but were undone? It's a sudden question that comes to mind, but it's one with an obvious answer. There isn't. All that remains now are my memories of those times. Man, I'm bored. My thoughts are spoken aloud involuntarily. I cast my gaze up to the great blue sky. That's it? Shit. Clearly I did something wrong. I thought that was the right choice. Let's see. Um. Fuck. That was Miharu end? Are you serious? It was just sad. Alright, so I want to get the best possible... I want to get the best possible outcome. I can't... We go back to when we were talking with Miharu about giving her an answer, and from what I hear, uh, what's really cool about this game is that nowhere you really find spoilers. So all I know is that this is what's called future ending, and it's supposed to be the better one, I guess. What's weird is that the ending that I had just played through, the one that where I clicked do nothing, was supposedly Miharu end. Clearly I'm an idiot because, that's just be how it be. Excuse me? Miharu's eyes widen before she freezes up completely. You'll no doubt be satisfied regardless of what answer I give you. On the other hand, putting it off means you'll want to survive to hear it, right? I promise I'll give you an answer then, so please let me keep that promise. That's cheating, you know. You're trying to sound cool, but you just haven't decided yet, have you? I can't deny that, but I can't bring myself to think things through until I find a way to survive with you. You're just that important to me. You've even got Mao to help you out so you could answer a question from me before the next election. With that done, you'd let me elect you, and you even lied about seeing what would happen if we can't elect each other. She pulls her eyes away from me. I know this is the truth after asking how she felt earlier. Her love for me means she'll do whatever she can to make sure I survive. Sorry, but there's no way I'd forgive you if you let yourself die. Okay, that's better. Do you hate me now? Of course not. How about you? Do you hate me after having to deal with how indecisive I am? Honestly, I expected this response the moment you posed your little question. Huh? Having said that, no, there's not a single thing that could make me come to hate you, especially not when I love to see you squirm like this. Oh boy, she's about making me all hot and bothered again. No need to be blunt. Anyway, I kind of feel bad since it sounds like we're negotiating, but I'll absolutely give you a proper answer once Divine Selection's over. Until then, let's find a way to survive together. Alright, you've really changed, haven't you? I'd come back to haunt you if I died now. So guess it's time to swallow my pride. I never really thought this was the thing though. Like that's my problem is I feel like Miharu would want to survive if Rinka was like her lover, you know? Because if they did this, their plan could potentially work and they could figure out a way to do that. But instead, she just said, "Oh, well, you're going to be the only one to survive no matter what you think or feel," which I think is a little obnoxious. But Miharu just changed a bit right now. Let me ask you though, you're not putting it off, right? Can I take this to mean I actually have a chance? Yeah, I can't say for sure if I've ever been in love before, but it could it could easily swing either direction. Sorry for sounding smug despite not giving you a proper answer. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to settle this regardless of the outcome. In that regard, it's nice to know that I'm not chasing shadows. Miharu, you have my heart, okay? She brushes her hand through her hair before smiling. The light from Tokyo Tower reflects off her. She's so cute. Not only that, but she's smart and capable as well. She can be a bit mean sometimes, but she's always thinking of her friends. It makes it seem like life's so easy, but in reality, she works hard to make it so. It's tough to take all that into consideration and tell her that she has no chance. If I'm being honest, I'm still not too sure. I really am the worst. Anyone could have ditched me by now. Following that, we make our way back home. We still have to walk to the station together, but that's fine. Being together doesn't feel awkward tonight. I need this to work out. I freaking need this to work out. I get ready to go to bed once I'm home. Way too much has happened today. It skips text that I've already seen and it makes it go by really fast. Technically, I didn't, but we reached a conclusion for now at least. I should sleep now. There's a lot to be done. If it zooms by that fast, that means we've already read it. So make sure you go back and watch previous episodes to make sure you catch all of that. Okay. This is where we would have had a date. Phew, I sat down for a breather after today's work is done. Shifting back to work mode is a pretty exhausting process after spending so many days with my head in the books. At least working here is really fun. Okay, so I get kind of a little bit, okay? So, sure, Miharu, I feel like when we accept her confession, she would be at least a little bit more willing to survive with us, especially if we could be like, I love you, please don't leave me, or something like that, you know? Like, the fact that they both love each other, it really bugs me that that was how that one ended, especially after the fact, finding out that the ending that I chose was Miharu ending, which didn't have Miharu in it because she was dead, which I'm pretty pissed about, by the way. But now that she said she has to put it off, she doesn't have to think about anything, and she's probably going to read that book, right? We can finally see a little bit more about divine selection and stuff. Plenty of regulars stop in since it's Saturday, too. It isn't busy in the afternoon thanks to the limited food menu, but it gets, pretty packed toward the evening. Easily the busiest day since I first took over the store. The door chime rings when I'm relaxing. It's a customer I'm oh so familiar with. Oh, have you closed down for the day? Hey, come in. No need to worry about store hours when you're a friend. Sorry. I'd have Naomi take a seat at her usual table, then head to the kitchen to brew up some coffee. Once it's ready, I sit down with her. Here you go, on the house. Thank you. You seem awfully cheery today. You think? I guess it's because finals are over and I got to open the store back up. I brought cookies today if you'd like some. Thanks, I really like your cookies. I can tell they're the same ones that she bought once before. The bag's tied shut with a nice red ribbon, my favorite color. Really? Your eyes, your jacket, everything is red? We spent some time chatting while enjoying both our offerings. Do you mind if I ask what happened after we left last night? I explained what took place at once Miharu and I were alone. While everything stands from Miharu shared about her past, I skipped to the part where she just asked for my answer to her confession and that I couldn't give her one just yet. Naomi asked strangely relieved over it, probably because I mentioned that Miharu came to the decision to survive as well. Have you finished reading that diary yet? Nope, been too busy with finals. Chances are I'll finish it tonight, though. Okay, do you mind if I stop by tomorrow after closing time? I'll bring Miharu too. Sounds fine. If it's worth discussing, if we're ultimately, if there's ultimately no value info in it, even if there's ultimately no valuable info in it. Not every day you get to read about the daily life of someone from a whole century ago. We've still got one more chance if nothing gets resolved before tomorrow's election too. Approaching things from a level ahead seems to be the best approach. Agreed. Also, do you think I could borrow the diary from you tomorrow? She obviously is shy about asking again. I tell her it depends, and she responds with a smile. If the past few weeks have taught me anything, it's that I can focus better when reading at night. I set a cup of coffee down next to the diary and crack it open. Meow. Leith curls up at my feet. It gets pretty humid in July. I guess the floor is the coolest place to rest. I have no luck getting it to move either, so I just bring it some milk before getting started. My great-great-grandmother is the one who wrote this diary. Her sister owned a cat named Leo, too. I wonder if she wrote the diary in a similar environment. Coffee by her side, cat with her feet. Makes me think about how, while times may change, our actions never really do. It's kind of funny. The bookmark I'm using is shaped like a cat. Alright, this should give us some interesting information that we couldn't get in the last ending. I don't usually like to go through multiple endings because I like to try and get people to buy the visual novels that I'm playing, or especially like the free ones. This one's only $16, and after all the content that I've gotten, and by the way, as I looked through all of the potential endings and the choices that I would have needed to make, there are a total of 7 endings, and I'm only going to play through these 2 because after if future ending turns out to be garbage, I hear that it's supposed to be decent, but if it turns out to be garbage, then that's just going to be the end of it. The visual novel ended sad, but on the positive side, 4 of them are bad endings, and I didn't get any of those, though those ones are pretty obvious. You know, they're the ones where, you do something like accept Odette's conditions when we were trying to get you and then having her eliminate us and stuff. But I finished both my second cup of coffee and the diary around the same time. What the? The shock of what I've just read even knocks out my taste buds. I am immediately overcome with disbelief. I'm glad I arranged to meet with Miharu and Naomi tomorrow. I might have forgotten to do so after reading this knockout. I'm not over-exaggerating its shock value. It's fortunate that I can talk to them about it before tomorrow's election. At the very least, it'll reduce the risk of me going wild all on my own. Unbelievable as this is, it's just what we need. As Miharu said, this could very well be our trump card. We might just be able to pick Divine Selection apart thanks to this. I can feel my heart racing. Hey, it's Parka! After closing my diary, I removed the photos tucked between its final pages. 3 in total. One of Linda, one of her family, and third of another girl. Linda Harrison, my great-great-grandmother. That's who this diary belongs to. Seeing her in a picture is what grabbed my attention. It's the one with the other girl in it, specifically. That girl is noted as Linda's sister. The photo isn't high definition or anything. It's turned sepia with age, but I know for a fact that it's Diana. She's a spitting image of Parka. Her clothes are more appropriate for the time of the picture, and her hair isn't as long as it is now in the dream world. Regardless, this isn't a case of passing resemblance. They're the exact same person. Every nerve in my body is telling me so. So you're related to Parka. That's interesting. Makes sense, though. I kind of figured that based on the previous ending. It's theoretically impossible for this to be true, but what's written at the end of the diary makes the impossible a reality. That's not all, though. I somehow materialized a new card. Number 13, name Diana Harrison. You could eliminate... Oh, I did not expect that, though. You could actually try and eliminate a 13th numeral that shouldn't exist, which means it's the goddess's card. I can't help but mutter it aloud. Maybe it's a way of forcing myself to accept the truth that I've just uncovered. So this way you put it off, you make it certain that Miharu and you will survive. Then you gather the last 2 cards and try and eliminate Parka. And then once you eliminate Parka, you guys go free. And that's gotta be it, right? I can't believe that's how that'll work. Okay, I mean, that's probably the most logical. I was thinking like something like the two, because if you think about it, if the 2 of them survived, it wouldn't really matter. Parka could just, hell, she could probably split her consciousness and go in both of them. Though that would probably be best for Rinka and Miharu, because then, they'd still live anyway. But this way, you could eliminate Parka and eliminate any more divine selections and still live, which is the crazy part. Closing time arrives once I've rung out the last customer. It's a little early, but it's a bit past 4 p.m., but I've been open since 8 a.m. That's the norm when the store's open all through the weekend, really. You're such a hard worker. She sure is. Miharu and Naomi arrived a little bit earlier. They've been waiting for me to finish up for the day. I really hope that I can still give Miharu a response afterwards. Please? At least let me finish it off with the 2 of them, like, in love. Once done with my cleanup duties, I make my way over to our usual table. I hand them both a cup of coffee as thanks for coming. I'm glad I got to see you 2 before tonight's election. That's the only way I can think to lead into this topic. Following that, I place the diary on top of the table and open it up. The photo is what I want to show them first. Is this some kind of joke? That's Miharu's immediate reaction upon seeing it. Naomi seems puzzled, so I explain the significance to her, about how the girl in the photo is Diana Harrison, and her uncanny resemblance to Parka. So she and Parka are the same person? I say nothing, but I offer a reaffirming nod. That's when they've seen it. It's time to show them the name card of number 13. The goddess has cards too. I wanted to use these to preface our discussion, but maybe I've served the entree before the appetizer, as it were. You could cut the tension with a butter knife. First things first, this diary is written by my great-great-grandmother, Linda Harrison. Now feels like the right time to talk about the contents of the diary. Based on what I know, Diana died in a fire when she was 12. Linda wrote about her regret over this tragedy at the end of the diary. She regretted not being able to save Diana despite her pleas for help. The main issue is the 11 weeks leading up to her death, though. 11 weeks before Diana's death, a boy seeking to become her father's pupil fell down the stairs and died from trauma to the head. One of the assistants who had who had been to the home the week before soon died of food poisoning. The week after that, the mother of the boy who died 2 weeks prior died from a fever. Every week following that, someone with some sort of connection to Diana died. There certainly wasn't any pattern behind who died. Some were close to her, while others weren't. These events terrorized her family, and led them to a natural conclusion that any one of them could be next. Their fears came true with the 12th victim. Yep, it's just as I mentioned before, the fire took not only their home, but also Diana's life. The destruction caused a bookcase to fall on her, crushing the lower half of her body. Linda was in the room at the time, and she did all she could to save her. She just wasn't strong enough to move the bookcase. This was 100 years ago, so they lacked the same means to extinguish fires as we do today. Upon finding the two, their mother had to make an impossible decision. But to her the answer was clear. Even with her aid, they could not get the bookshelf to budge. Their father had passed out from smoke inhalation. The fire would likely consume Diana if they were to stay and call for help, too. So their mother made the only decision she could. She had to save who she could. She chose to save Linda at the expense of Diana. Linda viewed this as the wrong choice. She felt a responsibility to write about these events in the same diary she received from her beloved sister. Her feelings towards Diana are penned in detail. It's through them that the entire tale feels all the more tragic. But shouldn't you get her death card then? Smoke inhalation? That's the most important thing I came across while reading. Things remained tense as I finished my explanation. Understandably so. It's hard to remain composed when you realize the cute girl in the photo died not long after it was taken. Anyway, this is a sure bet to be our trump card. Yeah, Parka was originally human, and the sister of my great-great-grandmother, no less. I've come to the conclusion after listening to you, but it's not hard to be surprised. We're all on the same page. 12 participants competing over a span of 12 weeks, so the events leading up to her death may be on the basis of divine selection. Yeah, a tragedy through and through. There's a lingering sadness in Miharu's voice. I doubt she could feel anything else in the face of this revelation. So a human became a goddess. Part of me finds it hard to swallow. Both the Court of Fate and Divine Selection exist, though. The rewriting of events and memories, too. We have to accept the possibility exists based on what we know. This is a theory on my part, but it doesn't seem like Parka has any memory of her time as a human. Really? That makes sense. She sees us as nothing more than inferior beings. It doesn't help like she's spitting us because we're human either. Her role as a goddess is unquestionable to her. That's how I saw it before now, so I agree with Miharu's theory. The three of us start to ponder on our own. Naomi eventually speaks up, suggesting that we probably noticed what she's about to say. You should be able to elect Parka if you were materialized a card of hers, shouldn't you? Both myself and Miharu stare at Naomi in response. Our cards contain information that represents our past, present, and future. Most likely they allow us to elect and not eliminate others. The fact that Parka has her own cards must mean that she can be elected as well. There are too many unknown factors, though. I've got my card book with me, but a card has not materialized. Odd, considering I know her name and what she looks like. Does that mean Rinka's somehow special, then? I'm not too sure about that, but there must be a reason why. I mean, if you're related to her, potentially. I've been wondering why Miharu's card book had never reacted to the information I shared. I've been wondering something else, too. Even Naomi picks up on it as well. The circumstances surrounding Diana's cause of death have been made clear, but Rinka hasn't obtained a card from it. Based on the contents of the diary, a cause of death would either be from the fire itself or smoke inhalation. Lana didn't witness the moment Diana died, though. I think something must have happened after she was dragged away. There are plenty of possibilities, then. Blood loss, the ceiling collapsing to crush her, and so on. It's shocking how calm we are while imagining events from 100 years ago. It's the only method we have to learn about Parka, though. This is a possibility that's been right next to us since the beginning, and yet it's one we've only discovered at the last moment. Putting aside whether it's possible to elect her or not, we'd still need to know her regret. That's going to be the hardest part. There's no way we'll get an answer by asking her directly, not like she'd even be able to if our theory about her not remembering the past is true. It's nothing but a theory, and yet it's one we have to base everything on. I want to believe that we're not following the wrong trail. This gives me hope, though. Electing her has to be the way that we both survive. I share your hope, but we can't be sure this is the only way yet. We'll need to test it during the next election. You want to see what happens when you can't elect one another, right? Is that what you're going to try? We can't now. It's entirely possible it could result in a situation where we would need to settle things by any other means than electing, which might result in us losing the ability to elect her. Isn't it dangerous to ask her about it, though? She could always prepare countermeasures if she knows something you're planning. That's true. Perhaps it's best to do nothing this time around rather than rush things. If we can't figure anything out by the 12th election, then we can try it. Yeah, we can't let her know that we have her card either. You're so close, though. Naomi's words hit so close to home. I'm getting my hopes up. All that's left is to turn my hopes into a winning strategy. It's kind of ironic, though. They talk about the fortune smiling on those with hope, but we're dealing with the goddess of fate herself. Can I borrow the diary, then? I can tell she feels guilty about asking, but she can't suppress her curiosity. Sure, just remember that it's my grand's. I need it back as is. Yeah, thank you. I'll treat it with the utmost care. Part of me is worried that you'll embrace it too hard and it'll crumble. Important and valuable to my gran as it is, I'm sure it'll be fine in Naomi's hands. It's a source of information too. Just make sure that she doesn't get too crazy about smelling the book, though. Naomi might just be able to pick up on something I missed. Probably. Once we finish that topic, we spend the rest of the day hanging out as normal. Both of them head home after dark. Seeing them talk to each other like friends is when I see them off is a relief. Okay. I can't hide my happiness, not even after getting back to my room. I never would have imagined this scenario at the beginning of Divine Selection. Not only is Miharu looking to survive now, but there is a possibility for us to both make it through. Parka, huh? I basically confirmed that she has to be human. What happened during her dying moments then? Something must have caused her transformation. We left with more questions than before, but it's also proof that we're making progress. I'll do this, no matter what. Having steeled my will once more, I dive into bed in preparation for tonight's election. So this is a lot more promising. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to play through this entire thing this episode because I did say, oh, we're just going to, ba-doo, 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 ba-doo. Same thing as last time. 12th, so much for counting. Just wait till it goes slower. Don't indulge in chit-chat, something doesn't add up, so they think the same thing. Tonight's election. Do you have an election tonight? You won't. Very well. Parker shifts her gaze to Miharu. And yourself, number 2? My lovely former vessel. Sorry, but you're wasting your breath. No election on my part. Very well, quite a boring session tonight, I do declare. She puffs her cheeks out in discontent before making her way back to the center of the Court of Fate. Those mannerisms of her are reminiscent of what I've learned about Diana from the diary. Innocent, yet always one to act on her whims. A girl loved by cats, perhaps because she was like one herself. Okay. With no elections to speak of, this means we conclude tonight's gathering of participants. Next week marks the final round of this particular divine selection. I look forward to seeing which of you will become my vessel. Aha! Whoever it is will no doubt have a wonderful life ahead of them. Parka smiles, pinches her skirt, and curtsies. She does this in the exact same way as when I met her here first. So there's a question I'd like answered if you don't mind. What happens if neither of us elect one another during the next round? That's a possibility worth considering at this point indeed. Allow me to answer by asking you to consider the significance behind the numbers you have been allocated. So basically, if neither of us elect one another, the lowest number is given priority and allowed to live on. No way. Hard as it is to accept, it's likely what Parka is implying. It's a simple enough conclusion to reach at this point. At first, I thought the numbers only represented the order in which we carry out the election process, but now they have been much more interwoven with our fates than before. There's no need to beat around the bush anymore, is there? Tell us... Oh, there is no need to beat around the bush anymore, isn't there? Tell us the true meaning behind our numbers. You said we were allocated them, right? In other words, you didn't assign them yourself. I did find it strange that I wasn't number one, despite my death being the one to signal the beginning of divine selection. Originally, I thought it was due to the slight miscalculation of the juncture of fate's part, but my spot as number 2 disproves that. Very well. I've been looking forward to someone asking me this for true. Your numbers were indeed not selected by me. They represent each participant's proximity to the world's primary course. To this effect, number 1 is closest and number 2, or 12, is the furthest. Neither of us really understand what she just said. Can't say I've ever heard about the primary course or whatever before now. Think of the universe as a lake that filters into an endless number of streams. Each stream represents an alternate world that is burst through choices made by its people. Of course, people themselves are not aware of this. The Court of Fate serves as a place to overlook those streams. I recall you mentioning that last part during the first round. Indeed. Hold on a sec, I'm not following. Let's say you think of eating bread for breakfast. In this situation, a world where you do and a world where you do not are both spawned. Huh? She tries to give me a basic example, but it flies right over my head. It's a pretty simple thing, Rinka. Basically, it's just like the parallel worlds theory, where there's an infinite number of parallel worlds, but in this case, all of the parallel worlds are driven by decisions. So technically, there are an infinite number of one. The fact that I decided to play this very game was a decision that I made, and in this world, it came to fruition. But there was likely another world where I never played this game. That's the parallel worlds theory. Of course, albeit still a theory in our world. But what she's saying is basically the original course of action, or the most common one, is that Rinka survives. Right? So, right? I think so. She tries to give me a basic... Her cheeks pop out, likely due to my interpreting her, but continuing. What is it that leads to the creation of these two different worlds? The very moment you choose to have bread, you imagine a scenario where you do and one where you do not. The universe is not as stable as people believe. Personal perception plays an integral part of its existence. You may have gone ahead and eaten your bread, but the outcome of not doing so now exists in your imagination. As such, the outcome becomes a reality in another world by nature of you recognizing it. This is what I refer to when I'm speaking of the world's primary course and its branches. Going back to the previous example, having bread would become part of the primary course, the lake. The world where you do not becomes a stream that gradually strays further and further from the primary course. Are you getting this? I direct my question not towards Parka, but Miharu. She nods and then goes on to explain. We could call ourselves observers of a sort. The primary course follows the most likely scenario. So I wonder if wait, if I'm getting this right, then number 1 should have the best chance to win. All the time. And number 12 should never win, in theory. I expected nothing less of you. I did perhaps remember that we had had this conversation once before. Miharu shakes her head in response. Her quick explanation helps me to understand things, though. If we're talking about the more likely scenario, then me having bread falls under that, because it's the scenario born from my initial desire to do so. We strayed from the main topic somewhat. Parker forces a cough before proceeding. You all lost your lives during the juncture of causality, but worlds exist where that never happened. Using my power over fate, I linked each world where one of you survived to the primary course. So the primary course currently comprises worlds where we both died and survived. Not quite. The contradiction can only support itself here in the dream world, in which is created from humanity's dormant consciousness. The Court of Fate is an anomaly to the world under normal circumstances. That being said, it's fine if you simply understand that one's perception of things here can affect the primary course. The more she talks, the more lost I become. Miharu seems pretty interested in what she has to say, but it's doing nothing but confusing me. I take a chance to interpret Parka when she stops for a breath by pointing at the floor. None of that answers my question about the numbers, though. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, are we? The world you currently live in is one that I altered from a branch. In simpler terms, your numbers represent the ease with which fate can be altered from lowest to highest. Okay, so basically what you're saying is number 12 would have died pretty much no matter what. Like, obviously, there's another world where Alan survived, but dude got wrecked, okay? He would probably be poisoned in the majority of worlds. What she's basically saying is that Rinka, this was like a 1 in a million chance. She died from the explosion by you in this world, but that came to pass in almost none of the other worlds. And Miharu killed herself, but in almost none of the other worlds would she have actually accomplished that. You know what I'm saying? Almost. A little bit less than Rinka. I think Parka gave up on explaining toward the end there. I get the gist of what she's saying now, though. So basically, you'd cut out whoever has the highest number to make the final alteration of fate easier, right? Correct you are, my dear. I forgot that you tend to comprehend things that others don't. I noticed Miharu nodding from the corner of my eye. I can't deny her claim if Miharu's agreeing. Furthermore, the 12-week period represents the limit of your ability to maintain this paradoxical world. Is that right? Who knows? I've never bothered to go beyond that. What's important is that doing so would tire me much more than I would like. She pouts following the statement. I can't help but think she's exaggerating a bit, maybe because she doesn't want to admit that she has a limit. Can't beat her divine pride. Anyway, the gist of that she's only capable of joining the branches together with primary course for 12 weeks. What happens to the world where each participant's death has been undone when they're eliminated? Fantastic question, my dear. While I may be able to alter the world itself, the world also has something of a counterforce. This exists to return both the primary course and each branch to normal. Once a participant has been eliminated, the world in which they were still alive becomes a branch once again and distances itself from the primary course more and more. So there are still worlds out there where they're alive. In that case, there are indeed, though I must stress that even I can't observe them once they've drifted far enough away. The juncture of causality that ties 12 of these worlds together is what allows me to link them to the primary course in the first place. Regardless, it's about time we end tonight's session. I've carried on far too long already. Wait. Tonight's session resulted in no eliminations. I bid you both farewell for now. She wastes no time making her announcement after cutting the conversation off. I turn my gaze to Miharu, who calmly nods back at me. That's right, there's no need for us to panic right now. We need to throw our original plan out the window based on what we've learned tonight. Should 2 participants remain, whoever has the higher number will be eliminated by default. That likely applies to a situation where we can't elect one another too. Our only hope now is the one card sleeping within my card book. So you have to eliminate her. You have a week to do so. Hey! What's up, homie? Good evening, or good morning. Greetings don't feel right either. I wouldn't mind having a catchphrase like a certain goddess, but inventing one is rather difficult. Once again, I'm face to face with this man. He speaks casually and then grins. Is he trying to provoke me? Apologies, I set my jokes aside for now. You've finally obtained the most fundamental piece to this puzzle. All that remains is to place it in its relevant spot. This puzzle is one that was never meant to be completed. Allow me to guide you through the fog that clouds your memory. Oh, yo! We're seeing Diana's death. Right? Diana? Yeah. Parka, Diana's death. Flames envelop me. Flames powerful enough to flake the skin from my bones. She has red eyes, too. I mean, they're related. Think about that. Parka is related, so she even has the red eyes going for her. You could see quite a bit of resemblance to Rinka in this picture, as it's her great aunt. That's crazy. Flames that produce enough smoke to smolder my lungs. My life turns to ash. My inability to move, even my finger, tell me this much. Diana! Diana! Don't leave her behind, please, Diana! I hear someone shouting. I finally know to whom the cries of anguish belong. Fate truly works in strange ways. I thought these were memories shared only by myself and Naomi, but I learned that I share them with my parents. And now it turns out that even Linda and Diana went through the same thing. Duh, you yourself. The flames spread further, drowning out the cries. My consciousness vanishes by the time they become inaudible. So she died from the smoke, then, right? And then I wake up in a cold sweat. Meow. Leith must have crawled into my bed at some point, but but it's not responsible for this. I recall those flames. The memories sleeping within me aren't my own. I'm not sure if it's because we're related or because I read the diary, but it's definitely due to one of those reasons why I saw what I did. What's more, I notice a new card has materialized in my book. Diana, and thus Parka's cause of death. Poison is written on the card. Oh, poison. That's the most common cause when it comes to deaths like this. Carbon. Oh, okay. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, she was poisoned. There was an assassin. I'm getting all these crazy thoughts. Okay, it's just carbon monoxide poisoning. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, no death can be described as pleasant, but Diana's case seems especially painful. Yeah, I mean, I've never experienced it. I know it's hard to believe, but I don't know what it feels like. Leaf jumps from my bed, probably because I've gotten up and moved to my desk. It usually runs off after I get up. So you just have one card. You have a week to get one card. You can do it. I believe in you. You can save Mihadu. But I'm not going to let that happen today. Meow. Rather than pick it up like normal, I grab it by the tail, mainly out of fear that it'll outrun me. It was definitely about to hightail it. Meow. It turns to face me and then starts hissing. I guess being grabbed by the tail doesn't feel too good. I refuse to let it go and tug it even harder. It tries to run, but I scoop it up and check its front paw. I knew it. It has the scar there, the same scar that Leo, Linda's cat, had. The diary mentioned that it cut itself by stepping on a piece of glass. Naturally, you don't inherit a scar. The possibility of Leaf somehow injuring itself in the same spot exists, but I'm willing to bet that isn't the case. You're the guy who keeps appearing in my dreams, aren't you? Can't say I understand how that works, but after everything I've seen, it's hardly surprising. Meow. My question make me seem kind of crazy, but I pose it nonetheless. Hey, see, that was my theory. You guys remember that? I said that had something to do with Park in the dream world. Turns out to be that guy. That makes perfect sense. Leith is always nearby whenever that guy appears. Sure does. I first noticed it after seeing the photo with Diana and Leo. I can't just chalk it up to them looking alike now. Even the idea of it living for so long seems impossible. Throwing away logic is a must if I want to find the truth behind divine selection. Its paw serves as a definitive piece of evidence. It only makes sense since the cat can become a vessel for something if humans can. Maybe you can only speak in the dream world or something. A sudden realization causes me to plop Leith on my seat. If it really is the guy from my dreams, then that means I've been sharing my bed with him. I mean, that's something that you just jumped to. Okay. Anyway, if you can understand me, you better show yourself tonight. We can talk more then. Meow. It's a simple meow, but it sounds like a proper response to my ears. Interesting. We have Monday through Thursday off from school due to midterms being over. Although it's one of the busiest times for teachers since they have to go over everyone's exams, grade them, and prepare all the different results sheets, they can probably do it with as much help as they can get right now. Funny how I'm the one getting help from some weird guy in my dreams at a time like this. That being said, I plan on keeping the store open all day during our time off. Every day during my time off. It may seem weird to prioritize weekdays over the weekend, but I'm sure the regulars will appreciate it. Fair enough. The day flies by faster than anticipated, thus I return to my room. Lee's already curled up and ready to go to sleep, so I grab a blanket and wrap it up. I really does understand what I'm saying, huh? Good night. I've got an early start tomorrow, so I dive right into my bed once I'm ready. Well, mostly because something's telling me I'm not going to feel rested at all when I wake up. What's up, homie G? Yep, looks like I was right. The fact that I find myself in the dream world, albeit one different from the Court of Fate, proves it. Good evening! I guess there's no need for secrets now that you've uncovered my cat identity. Perhaps you might be wondering why you can't speak here. But it's rather simple. Unlike Parker, my previous owner, I lack the ability to meownifest the Court of Fate. Maintaining your existence is on a conceptual level is simply impossible for me. Fortunately, I can intervene in your dream world. I get that he's trying to say something important, but all those cringy cat puns that make it hard to care. Fuck. They had a hard time. I bet you they had a hard time putting that in English. Well, not a hard time, but all they would have had to do was add nya to the end of freaking sentences in Japanese. I probably force myself to wake up if he doesn't stop soon. Oh, that's harsh of you. This helps prove a point that I want to make, though. You may not be able to speak here, but your thoughts can still make it to me. So what are you exactly? I'm Leith, the river of forgetfulness that flows through the underworld, rather an existence given power resembling it. The distance vary from tale to tale, but we can keep it simple for your sake. Leith is a river that flows through the underworld, and those who drink from it experience complete forgetfulness. Nope, that doesn't explain anything. I'm the one responsible for erasing the memories of any paradoxes created by divine selection. Think of me as a being that's granted the role of interfering with people's memories, if you will. Either way, I was right about you being Leith. Anyway, I guess you'd be Leo, considering the scar on your paw. Can you explain how and why you're able to take on a human form and appear in my dreams like Parka? It's because I'm essentially nothing to this world. A regular cat became me, while a poor girl became a goddess. That's how the story begins. I knew it. Parka really was Diana all along. There's no denying it now that he said as much. Indeed. I knew there was every possibility you would discover this through reading Linda's diary. Of course, I would be a tad upset if you never caught on to my own identity after all the hints I dropped. Hints? Our position in the real world has no relation to our ability to appear within your dreams, yet I was sure to always stay near you when I did, no? Regardless, our power being transmission means time is of the essence. Allow me to give a quick explanation as how I came to be. Time seems to be a concern for him too, just like Parka. Curious as I am, I make sure not to interrupt him. This power of mine is one I was never meant to receive. The circumstances differ greatly from Diana's. She lost her life soon after 11 other people. This served as the most subtle manner in which to be named Parker. Whether or not by coincidence, I can't say for sure. Either way, her desire to live was powerful. So much that it reached something that may or may not have existed in this world. He adds that thing could be what we humans refer to gods as, or spirits. Along with this fact, it's something that we cannot perceive. Nothing would come from that desire under regular circumstances. However, 11 lives were lost previous to this. The suspects surrounding the lives and deaths of those 11 people formed a spiral with Diana at its center, forming a force capable of distorting fate itself. Their feelings and what they had experienced became fragments, which accumulated within that distortion. On a conceptual level, these fragments serve as a form of energy. Diana's link to that something I mentioned allowed her to use that energy to cause a miracle, resulting in her becoming Parker. The 13th person involved, Linda, would become her vessel. Of course, her existence was imperfect. Unlike that certain something, she required a vessel and ritual to exist. That's where Leo, our cute and lovable cat, comes in. I myself was on the brink of death to that fire. Diana, through her desire for Leo to survive, split her power with me. She did so despite it being imperfect. To be more accurate, I was connected with the very same something by her doing so. Having been removed from the circle of fate, death became a foreign concept to me. I was given a will, human-like features, yet I could not be classified as one. I was no longer a mere cat, but also something close to a god. That's what stands before you now. Diana may have wished for Leo's survival, but unfortunately that never came to be. In the end, Leo's existence remains undefined. I only get about half of what he's saying, in all honesty. I mean, I get all of it, but it's like how you understand words but not their meaning. I'm sure he's trying to say it's simple, though. Diana's desire to live led to her becoming Parka, and her desire for Leo to survive turned it into Leith. Now I'm even more curious. That way of thinking is the exact same as us. He still has more to say. Diana is a kind girl at heart. That's why I used my power on her first and foremost, to erase almost all of her memories from her time she was human. I just left enough of Parker to retain a human-like will. Do you know why? She must bear the burden of carrying out divine selection to maintain her own existence. Doing so involves giving hope to others only to rip it away. A girl as kind as her would never live like that. Thus I chose to do what I did. She never once tried to interfere with our fates. Our situation seemed entertaining to her on the surface, but she never looked as though she was truly enjoying it. Indeed, the emotions you all experience are foreign to Parker. That's why she was able to proceed with divine selection thus far. So divine selection is a system put in place to ensure Diana's continued existence. It sure seems that way, at least. With that out of the way, I have a request. A request? Indeed, not as Leith, but as a simple cat that treasures its owner. Please save her. Save her? That's right. She's finally awakened to a certain ambition in her current form. That is to say, she wishes to abandon her conceptual form, not using a simple vessel, but a full-fledged body of her own. So Diana is trying to revive herself, then? Not quite. Diana doesn't wish for this. Divine selection has allowed her to create the personality known as Parker. This personality was born based on a few memories she retained as Diana. Desires and ambitions are inherently attached to one's personality. That's why Parker eventually developed this ambition on her own. All the pieces fell into place for her. This happened through meeting someone who shares both her essence and past material form. A direct descendant from her older sister, someone born within the confines of a twisted fate. Diana's older sister, Linda, so someone born during divine selection whose existence wasn't undone. It's me. Granted, that's not too difficult to figure out when only me and Miharu and I are left at this point. Correct you are. Parker, having met you through your fate, influenced fate so that you would become a participant. So she fucking killed. Okay. Huh? She opposed fate itself in doing so. Her powers remain transient all the time, thus she can never win against it. Fate and the world itself will do everything it can to return it to its normal state. Even should she succeed and take over your body, all that awaits her is cruel death. What do you want me to do then? You already know just one step away from succeeding, aren't you? So we have to elect her. Elections are the means of reverting one's fate by making everything about them clear. You can restore Diana back to her original fate by doing so. They may be different personalities, but both Linda and Parker share the same existence. Both will disappear should you succeed. They'll finally be able to rest. Diana's done enough by this point. She has no reason to defy fate anymore. Then what about us then? We're trying to do what she did. Your cases are inherently different. Surviving divine selection is a simple case of trying to influence the possibility of you still being alive into the primary flow. Diana, on the other hand, no longer has that possibility. Over 100 years have passed since her birth, after all. Her ambition is what it means to truly defy fate. Pain and suffering come hand in hand with this, however. They only continue to build up while she's unaware. And you're fine with this? Diana herself is upset by all this. It's her will as much as it is mine. Can you explain that? Sorry, I won't be able to maintain my connection to your dream world for much longer. Wait, we still don't know about Parker's regret. There's still more I want to ask, too. Worry not. It won't be long before you come to learn the rest. You can't rely on me any further. From here on out, you'll have to use everything you know to make it through. Find an outcome where both of you can be happy. And allow me to make one last apology. I am the one responsible for your foggy memory at the outset of divine selection. I had to remove parts of your memory to make you forget your own compatibility with Parker. I did so she couldn't force you to win. Perhaps I should phrase it another way. Your happiness relies on surviving with your friend, correct? I know her well through you, my current owner. As such, this is the most I can do to help you. Be warned, though, the gradual return of your memories also affects Parker's. She has her sights set on you now. A way for both of us to survive. Things would never have played out like this had you known everything from the start. Though I should stress, it was by your own power that they did. I merely provided an opportunity. I guess I should thank you then. I'm the one that should be thanking you. You spent far more time together when I was a cat, but you're a fantastic owner. Helping you find out any further would be breaking my own rules. So, we won't meet again until everything is over. Rules exist to maintain order and balance. It wouldn't be right of me to topple that balance by continuing to break them. Let's not forget that you still have the pleasure of seeing me in my lovely cat form. Good luck. I'm praying for your success. My mind begins to lull once more when he stops talking. Dreams are supposed to be a way for the brain to process thoughts, but I'm leaving more confused than I came. Actually, that makes total sense. I don't know if you guys caught all that, but that was pretty easy to figure out. He pretty much made it nice and clear. Upon returning, I noticed a gorgeous black cat sleeping on my bed. Thanks, Leith. Meow. I dragged myself out of bed upon hearing its answer. Leith told me that we need to make it through on our own. Through the 12th election, the conclusion of divine selection. In other words, next Monday. We need to overcome all odds and reach that day. Okay, time to... My phone goes off just as I'm about to get ready. No buzzing. In the last few times your phone has gone off, it usually goes bing. Looks like Mao's calling me. It's not a text, an actual call. I take a deep breath and answer it. Rennie, come quick, Naureen, Naureen's. Mao's panicked voice is the first thing I hear upon picking up. The shock of what I just heard causes me to drop my phone. Wait, what's up with Naureen? Mao called Miharu as well, so the three of us meet in the hospital lounge to talk. Based on what we know, Naomi was rushed there earlier. It seems like she collapsed this morning. She was reading at home as usual, but something seemed off. Then she said her head started hurting all of a sudden. She has an awful fever, which is what caused her mom to call an ambulance. They don't seem to know about what the cause is either. I heard the details from Naomi's mom as well. They have no idea what's happened. What's worse, she's also unconscious. It's so sudden that they can't think of any cause. I can't blame them either. She seemed perfectly fine when we last met. Doesn't seem like she collapsed from overexertion, so all the doctors can do is put her on an IV and let her sleep for now. How come you were the first to hear about this? I called her to ask if she wanted to hang out at your place, but her mom picked up instead. This would be completely unexpected to most people, but me, I've seen her go through this before. Do you know what she was reading? Nope. It was just some really old book. They suggested that she could have been allergic to a mold or something since it was so old, but apparently that's not it. I try not to make a big deal out of this information. There's not much we could do right now. Might as well go home and wait for the results of her scan. I head out after that, but not before making eye contact with Miharu. Alright, Miharu, we need to get shit going down. Back at Lionhouse, Miharu turns up before long. Guess she understood what I meant. Mao took this development the worst out of all of us, so I urged her to just go home. That plus the fact that I can't really discuss what I'm about to when she's around. Do you remember what I told you about Naomi collapsing before the 10th election? I do. The time Alan helped her, right? I nod. She mentioned having a headache not long before collapsing then, too. Her condition's a lot worse now than it was back then, but the symptoms are similar. She even had a fever at the time. It was due to her memories being in disarray, if I recall. Mainly because they were rewritten after every elimination, unlike ours. That burden must have led to her headache and eventually her collapse. I suffered similar headaches during the start of Divine Selection due to my own foggy memory. In Naomi's case, new memories are overwriting those she had prior to the alteration, which means she's suffering twice as much as I did. Yeah, she's had her memory erased like frickin' 6 times. It's my fault for not noticing. No, it's not. I take responsibility for not anticipating it. Naomi's been with me this entire time. I may have chosen to distance myself from her for a time, but I've been keeping her up to date with everything since the incident with you. So basically, I've been replacing her new memories with those from before the alteration. Things never would have escalated this far if I had been more careful. There's no
point in feeling sorry for ourselves right now. All we can do is believe that she'll be fine. What's more, we have a duty to think about divine selection.
Yeah, thanks. I'm so grateful for Miharu's level-headedness. Then again, I doubt it's all natural. She's forcing herself to be like this due to my own state of panic. I take a deep breath and suggest that we sit down. I can't switch gears considering the circumstances, but the truth remains that either Miharu or I will die if we don't sort things out. We need to make progress no matter what. Take a look at this. I show her a certain card, Diana's cause of death. Not only that, but I make to fill her in when what Leith told me. Needless to say, doing so takes some time. I make some coffee to calm both of us down, but we drink it all long before I'm done.
That answers plenty of questions. Now I can guess why you're the only one that can materialize Diana's cards, too.
I tilt my head in curiosity. They're clearly special to Parker, hence her desire for you.
On the flip side, that makes her, Diana rather, special to you as well.
We both share something, which is why I can only materialize her cards, right? Miharu nods and simply says that's likely the case.
Anyway, trusting Notcath Leith seems to be our best bet. What he said aligns with what we know, too.
Yeah, if anything, I can trust in the fact that he's both fond of both of us and Diana.
It might be similar to how a parent feels about their children, considering how long it's been around.
Leith just so happens to pass by while we're talking about it. It flinches when I call out to it, but it turns to face us. Is there anything you can do to help Naomi? She's been suffering thanks to what's going on with her memories. Leith should be able to do something. He might even know about the cause. What's more, he can make his powers to make her forget one side and stabilize. I forgot you can't speak in that form. Could we talk if I take a nap? Leith shakes his head. Not every day you see that from a cat. I realize right away that isn't doing so just in response to my question, though. Leith in my dreams already told me that it won't help us anymore.
Consider it a request from me as well. You know how to help her, don't you?
Even Miharu pleads with it. Leith doesn't respond this time, instead turning its head and wandering off. Neither of us can do anything to stop it. That reminds me of what I was told before. You can't rely on me any further. From here on out, you'll have to use everything you know to make it through. Did Leith know this would happen? It's possible he said that while taking this situation into consideration. In that case, it's something we need to overcome on our own.
Either way, we should visit Naomi tomorrow.
Agreed. We split up for the day following that. All that's left to do is wait. So I say, but it's pretty frustrating when we don't have the time to discuss Parker's regret. Shit, dude. Things are going down. Leith didn't appear in my dreams last night, though that was expected. Can't tell if its tendency to rely on others is a trait of mine, or of people in general. Either way, we've made arrangements to go to the hospital with Mao today. Miharu has to work on the morning shift, so it'll happen this evening. We're going to talk things out back here regarding Parker's regret once we're done, too. I waste no time in getting ready to leave. They said they don't know when they'll be able to discharge her. Mao makes no effort to conceal her shock over the current situation. Both of us sigh, prompting Mao to relay the rest of what she heard from Naomi's mom. They have no idea what's going on, even after all the scans. It's just so sudden. They even said it's possible she might not wake up again. What in the world happened to her? Not knowing what's going on must have been far more distressed than me. That almost makes me want to reveal everything about the divine selection to her. Miharu pulls on my sleeve upon noticing my expression, though. We haven't told her any of this for a reason. She doesn't deserve to be burdened with that knowledge. Plus, we want her to remain as our beacon for a regular life. I clench my fist, and all I can do to hold back the temptation. Telling her won't help Naomi recover. We just have to believe in her. It hurts, but that's really all I can do for now. She might never wake up again. It's already Wednesday.
That's enough for today, I'd say.
Miharu and I return to the Lion house to talk things out. Not much comes from the meeting, though. Miharu seems particularly disappointed based on her expression when she leaves. Our discussion involved Parker's regret. We came up with a number of ideas based on what we learned from Leith, but none of them resulted in a card. It's Wednesday, so I'm starting to panic. I'm just starting to feel like I really am powerless. Was it a coincidence that everything went so well prior to this?
I'm sure Miharu's going to offer her own life if things continue like this. Parka said she has no involvement of the distribution of our numerals, but I can't help but suspect that she set things up for me to be the sole survivor should a situation like this arise, and allows her to carry out her ambition. That's probably why she killed you off. She caused it. So unfair. I clench my fist in anger. It's all I can do. Shit, it's already Thursday. That's enough for today, I'd say. I'm forced to hear Miyaru repeat the same line from yesterday. Naomi still hasn't recovered, and we still haven't made any progress with Parker's regret, so basically we're stuck in the same spot. Today is our last day off from school, too. We'll be back here tomorrow, forced to face our exam results. Summer holidays aren't too far off either, and yet we won't have the chance to enjoy them at this rate. It's all over for us? My panic leads to a lament. Whoa, 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 whoa. Charger! Don't be that way. Our lack of progress after feeling such hope for the future has taken a huge toll on me. I hang my head, only to hear a violent sound reverberate through the store. A rush of pain rushing through my cheek accompanies it. Wha? I won't apologize for that one. The source is simple. Miharu just slapped me right across the face. Good job, Miharu! Snap her the fuck out of it. Alright, I'm seriously worried about my charging cord. Come on, buddy, old pal. Old amigo. There we go. The stinging pain doesn't seem like it'll fade anytime soon. What's left for us if you give up now? Leith wasn't lying when he said you're standing here by your own power. It's thanks to you I haven't given up living. You're the one who convinced me, aren't you? The rest of us are bound to fall apart if you, of all people, give up. Miharu's lips quiver as she looks down at me. Now I know that she looks ready to cry when she gets angry. This may be the first time I've ever seen her truly upset with me. What should I do? You said it yourself. You need to believe in Naomi. You remaining resolute is a requirement for us to do that. I pry my hand from my cheek and stare Miharu down. The pain hasn't faded, but if everything, it helped me to calm down. I'll believe in her. It's not just in her, but in myself as well. I'll make sure we gather all of Parker's cards. Good. I've given in to despair once before, back when you killed Naomi. Naomi's still alive this time around, though. There's no doubt she's fighting against her own conflicting memories. Don't have any right to give up. Miharu comes to her senses upon seeing me stand up and stretch, which leads her worrying about having hit me. It's kind of funny hearing her tell me to ice my cheek down to prevent it from swelling, as well as worry about whether or not I bit the inside of my mouth when she smacked me. You kind of deserved it, though. Come on, man. Never give up. I find myself in thought once alone in my room. Least calm claim has to mean that we already have the necessary information available to us, which means we need to work to find out what links it all. Leith made it a point to liken our memories to a puzzle, too. There has to be a connection, in terms of both Naomi's hospitalization and Parker's secret that Leith mentioned, I mean. It's hard to believe that they're not connected with when the whole concept of memories playing such a big part in both. There might not even be an answer to find, but right now all I can do is think. I continue to think until I fall asleep, Oh, I should add that Miharu sent me over 10 texts about how worried she was about me. None of them included an apology, though. She's definitely stubborn. Well, she doesn't need to apologize. Sure, she should be worried about you, but she doesn't need to apologize. Nothing comes to mind upon waking up. Today's Friday, which means we only got 3 days left until the final round. It's still too soon to give up, though. We managed to materialize Scale's final card with less time to spare. Now I need to think about it. There might be another diary or something lying around my grand's room. I'll ask her if I can snoop around once that school's over. Something will come to mind as long as I don't give up. For now, though, I should focus on getting ready for school. Nothing can prepare me for what awaits there, and I mean that in a good way. Naomi! Naureen! Naomi! All three of us happened to arrive at the same time, only to see Naomi there. Part of me wonders when she woke up, and if she could even be at school so soon, but my relief over having seen her takes precedence. It's only natural, really. It doesn't take long for another shocking revelation
to rear its head, though. One that I'm not sure how to react over. Salutations, one and all. That single line is enough to freeze me in my tracks. It's like the same applies to Naomi. Oh, well, salutations to you too, Naureen. Mao's probably the only one adept well to, the only one to adapt well to Naomi's sudden change. Wait. My sincerest apologies for concerning you. As you can see, I'm now fit as a fiddle once again. Yeah, awesome. We were worried about you for a while there. That face. Oh ho ho. Naomi places one hand over her mouth and belts out an elegant laugh. It's far too different from how Naomi usually behaves. If anything, it reminds me of a certain someone. Parka. The realization causes me to stay alert. Wasn't it my body she was aiming for? What's more, we still have 3 days of divine selection left. Come along, we mustn't tarry here. We make our way to school upon her insistence, all manner of questions on my mind. Nani? What? Once inside, we split up and head to our respective classrooms. Mao doesn't even seem too taken aback due to the relief that Naomi's better, but I don't seem to have the same luxury. The same applies to Miharu. What if Mao's memories have been overwritten to make her think that this is how Naomi always spoke? A chill runs down my spine as I consider that. There's something I can do if Parka has taken over Naomi. There's nothing I can do if Parka's taken over Naomi and altered the world to make it that normal. Now Reen is sure speaking funny after being down for a few days, but hey, it's good to see her doing better. Yeah, she looks as good as new. I do feel that she should have taken some time off, though. Mao makes it apparent that she's too preoccupied with being happy over Naomi's recovery to care about her speech. One concern's been eliminated, but the possibility of Parka having taken over Naomi's body remains. We agree to meet after school, so I'll take a chance to see how things play out. Interesting. It's been a while since we were last at school, but there's nothing much for us to do after we check our exam results. I'm pretty invested in them this time, considering I put a lot of effort into studying. How'd you do, Rennie? Mao wastes no time in asking me about my grades, and for once in my life I can report card with pride. Not a single subject below 60. Shows how much I study, huh? Wow, that's part of me was worried you'd beat me since you studied way more than me, but I guess it was for nothing. She's happy to shove her own report card in my face. Over 70 in every single subject. I like how Japan's a lot different, dude. 60%? That's a freaking F. She has to be in the top half of our grade with results like that. Wait, what? 70 out of how many? It can't be 70%. That would be ridiculous. It's all about putting in the work every day. Miharu makes her way over while I'm wincing over the harsh life lesson. Those exams were pretty tough, in all honesty. I even let someone else take my top spot thanks to not being able to study as much as I would have liked. Her results are so incredible that I can barely stand to look at them. Just as she said, she dropped a second in her grade this time around. There are only 3 scholarship positions from what I remember, so her marks shouldn't be an issue. It's a pretty remarkable jump compared to your midterms, at least. Geez, sucks that we gotta start worrying about entrance exams soon, though. The format of our schedule means most people have already started to study for university entrance exams the moment they enter high school. That reminds me, Naomi said she's gonna start going to cram school during the summer. I guess that makes Naomi and I the odd ones out, considering Miharu's a beast that doesn't need to worry about these things. Omeka's exams are pretty difficult. Omeka's exams are pretty difficult compared to those of other schools by nature of its format. Entrance exams won't be bad so long as you keep on top of your normal studies. There's no point for people who do poorly on their exams to try and make up for it with cram school. All they'll accomplish is fooling themselves into thinking they know how to study when they don't. I realize she's trying to cheer me up. I do. But her point's so sharp that it makes me feel like it may as well be a lethal weapon. I just pray she doesn't say anything like that around Naomi. Excellent point, Miharu. And one that gives Queen Mao free rein to enjoy her summer holiday to its fullest. Mao declares her plan nice and proud. But Miharu seems to have ignored them completely. There's a fireworks display in August, right? Let's keep that day free. Of course. Miharu and I promised back when we were at the theme park. That's why I respond right away. Okay, my power cord is fucking up again, dude. Okay, there we go.
Aye, let's prepare our attack plan at Rennie's place. Gave Mao an affirmative nod. We only have morning classes today, so we head back to my place after grabbing some food at the school cafeteria. As for Naomi, she's still speaking like royalty. I do declare that ramen was spectacular, a culinary delight that only a commoner can truly appreciate. This sure is messing with my head. Hearing Naomi talk and act snobby like Parka is an adjustment, to say the least. Life would be a lot easier if I could just not care like Mao, but it's not an option. Oh yeah, mind if we ask when you woke up now, Reen? Last evening. Again, my sincerest apologies for causing you all undue concern. Both the doctors and my mother were beside themselves with worry, but upon their measurements of my heart rate and blood pressure, I was given a clean bill of health. Well, 'twas met with opposition when I voiced my desire to attend school and enjoy the final day of this semester, but forsooth they eventually relented. I am perfectly sound, as you see. Further concern is unwarranted. Well, if you say so. Miharu makes no effort to hide her incredulity. The conversation continues as we make our way over to the Lionhouse. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Now Reen's freaking new voice, I'd take it. All right, got a jet, got stuff to do. Mao takes her leave before too long. The plan was to figure out what we'd do during the summer holiday, but all we did was chat and eat snacks, not much of planning. Granted, this is Mao we're talking about. She'll probably come up with a new suggestion sooner or later. Can't say I'm against letting her decide what we should do either. The real issue is the girl sitting in front of me now. Care to explain yourself now? My question isn't posed to Naomi, but the person pretending to be her. My name is Hitsuji Naomi, a lovely blossoming high school freshman. My primary hobby is reading, and although I might be a bit shy, I'm kind of earnest. Although I doubt you two bring yourself to believe such a claim. The mimic giggles at his own comment. Miharu and I grow even more wary, but the stranger has more to say. I tease. Please accept my apologies. Trust me, though, I'm no enemy of yours. My name is Diana Harrison. I have taken the liberty of borrowing Hitsuji Naomi's body for the time being. So, wait. This is legitimate, Diana. So this is Diana's consciousness from, like, before Parka. Because once Parka became her own entity, and albeit a lot of it was thanks to Leith messing up her mind, but this is before all that. Okay. Wait, you're not Parka? Miharu asked the question on the tip of my tongue. Wasn't Diana said to have turned into Parka after death? Leith's explanation suddenly comes to mind. Leith said he took away Diana's memories. Does that mean you're... Rather astute conjecture, my dear. I represent the memories Leith removed from Parka after their transformation. Naomi's body currently receives an intermediary from the personality in which those memories are found, albeit temporary. So Parka we knew from the dream world and you are two separate entities, correct? Indeed, I'm neither spirit nor ghost, so please refrain from making the assumption that I have possessed your friend. My memories have simply been filled into her personality, allowing her to become Diana. I'd be lying if I said I understand. Just tell me this, is Naomi okay? I stare right into Naomi or Diana's eyes. I don't really care about her identity right now. Naomi's safety is my top priority. Allow me to be honest, she was in a perilous state before my awakening. However, I can say that she is very much safe in the current situation. Did Leith have something to do with this? Diana answers with a nod, however a hint of sadness colors her expression as she continues. I would rather not tarnish his image, so allow me to explain things in order. I, as Naomi, was reading the diary that Rinka allowed me to borrow. Doing so, in essence, dug up certain memories that had been overwritten by divine selection. The burden forced upon her by those memories caused her to lose consciousness. While I don't understand it, she seems to think that this is an apt comparison. Imagine, if you will, a computer that has crashed by storing more data on it than it can contain. This is what happened to her. So her brain crashed. She replies with another nod and then continues. Leith, has two options in order to save her. The first was to completely erase her memories of divine selection. The second was to lend a portion of his power to her until you succeed in eliminating Parka. Fate will be locked into place the moment you do so. Following that, all that's required is to rid Naomi of her memories of this altered world. 'Twould allow her to retain those memories of the time spent with you while not placing her under any burden. Why is Leith so keen on helping her? Allow me to keep that a secret. Leo's quite shy pussy, you see. I already know the answer to Miharu's question. He just wants us to be happy, nothing more, nothing less. Naomi was poised with the question of whether or not she would be willing to lose her memories of divine selection. She showed no hesitation in her desire to retain them. However, Leo could not lend his powers unconditionally. Temporary as it may be, lending his powers to a mortal no doubt conflicts with his own rules. Hence a restriction and risk accompanied his choice. His power would be hers, but only if she accepted Diana's memories along with it. That burden comes with doing so serves as a risk. While the reception would be placed on her personality, any traits of her own personality will be filtered through me so long as this power is available to her. So you're telling me she was given even more memories to deal with. Wouldn't that just make things worse? Quite so. Losing her life wasn't out of the question. A fat Leo made sure to explain in detail, of course. Even so, Naomi's determination remained steadfast. Abandoning her memories of the time spent with you during divine selection was not an option. Leo himself had no idea if she could bear the burden, I feel, yet he placed his faith in her, much like she had in you. Looks like she succeeded by judging it by the results. She did indeed. That much was obvious, considering she regained consciousness. The issue is whether or not she'll regain her original personality, though. I pressed her to answer. Not to worry, myself and Parka are one and the same, so her elimination entails my own. I shall return to normal for Naomi after that. As said earlier, her memories of the altered world will be erased alongside my own. This will provide her relief from the burden that previously plagued her. Let's say, for an argument's sake, that Parker succeeds and takes Rinka's body. What'll happen then? Oh, I was given the impression that neither of you spared nary a thought for such an outcome. Fair enough. She's right, isn't she, Rinka? Yeah, losing isn't an option for us. Splendid. As you know, personal perception plays a key part in the world's structure. Thus, conviction is a certain outcome makes it more likely to come to pass. Now then, I assume you've both come to realize Leo's true intentions behind granting Naomi my memories. Both of us nod in sync. There's no way we couldn't know at this point. We're missing one last piece of the puzzle in order to elect Parka, her regret. Getting to the bottom of that won't be an issue with... I do look ever so forward to seeing what modern Japanese has to offer. Japan has to offer, huh? Satisfy my curiosity, and my regret shall be your reward. Not to be rude, but that sounds awfully similar to what Parker trying to accomplish. Come, I was human after all. Rinka should know plenty about me after pursuing my oh-so-personal diary. Naomi stands, pinches her skirt and curtsies exactly how Parka does it. Alright, show her around. Wait, we're going to bed? I breathed a sigh of release once in my own room. I'm sure things sure did escalate, but the important thing is Naomi's okay. What's more, we now have to a surefire way to learn Parker's regret. Diana said that Naomi accepted the most dangerous option of her own will. Can't say that it's hard to believe. She always was against the idea of losing her memories of the time she spent with us. It'll work out, I hope. There's no doubt that Leith altered her memories at the time. The only reason he didn't do so completely was out of respect for Naomi's will. He shouldered the responsibility that comes with it despite owing us nothing, too. I'm the one that owes him, if anything. Just then I hear something thud against my door. I'm guessing it's Leith. The door hath opened, so it should saunter in soon. Or should I think, but there's no sign of it. Leith? I open the door figuring something's up, and I'm right on the mark. Leith has collapsed right by my door. Leith! I scoop it up in a panic and gently set it down on my pillow. I grab a bowl of water and place it by its side. Meow. The voice sounds so weak compared to usual. I can't tell it isn't well from just a glance. Should I take you to the hospital? It shakes its head in response. I can assume it means no, considering it should be able to understand me. Normally, I'd guess it's sick, but that can't be the case here. Instead, I'm thinking back to what Diana discussed. Leith split part of his power with Naomi. The same power he's been using to stay alive for so long. I can only assume that he, both in cat and human form, grows weaker with less of it he has available.
Thanks, Leith. I can tell this isn't easy for you. That said, I collapse onto my bed. This really serves to remind me how much I have entrusted with. It's Friday, right? Saturday. Oh my god. We need to figure out this regret. We've got a day and a half, 2 days. My original plan was to open the store, but that won't be happening now. Maybe because we have to show Diana around modern-day Tokyo. Lee's still recuperating on a cushion, and I made sure to get plenty of water and food nearby. I'd rather not leave it alone, but it seems more concerned with us and Diana than itself. It's not the first time we'd had to show someone who doesn't know much around our world. And it helped that Sonia had enough of places in mind when we showed her around. Is there anything specific you want to go, Diana? The subway may tickle my fancy. Just the regular old subway? Oh, right. It wasn't until 1927 that Ginza Line became available. Even then, it only ran between Asakusa and Ueno. According to her diary, Diana died somewhere around 1910. That makes sense that she'd been mystique in finding things that we take for granted. Okay, so just to put things into perspective here, so 1910 to right now is 108 years, and then we divide that by 12. See how that's the number 9? That means on average, there was 9 years separating divine selections. 12 divine selections in 108 years, assuming this takes place in 2018, because the game came out in 2018. We're going to assume it comes out in 2018. 108 years, 12 divine selections. That means an average of exactly 9 years per divine selection. Now, taking into consideration that Miharu's was 17 years ago, that means there are some of these where they lived for less than 9 before ending up dying. Makes sense that she'd find mystique in things we take for granted. I think that's a little weird. I'm just going to be frank. I can't get my mind off of it. It just seems like really strange for all of them to happen within, a decade, really. I mean, Miharu's must be a very special case having, 17 years. She seemed pretty amazed by everything when we met up there. Now that I think about it, the automatic gates, vending machines, and the number of trains, and even the building itself. Her ability to buy tickets and make her own way around town must be due to being in Naomi's body. May as well head to Asakusa if we're using the subway. There's plenty of new stuff there, like the Sky Tree. Tokyo Tower may be better in that case. Both have observatories were built during that time, but Tokyo Tower is probably the ideal way to look at modern Tokyo. Well, you're not wrong, I guess. I don't have particularly fond memories of that place thanks to what happened last month. Explosion magic! Not to think Yu's attack on it happened in this world. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. I appreciate this. I'll leave the decision to both of you. I must admit, the very notion of walking around in this era after my time is exciting in and of itself. She flashed us a lovely, carefree smile. She and Naomi's body, but she reminded me more of Parka. I'm sure she'd be able to smile like this as well if you erase that malicious side of hers. Are we just gonna oh, okay. After we wrap up the Asakura tour, we make our way to Tokyo Tower. Both areas are packed, of course. The Skytree and Senjoji Temple are our main destinations in Asakura. We stopped by the local market to grab some melon bread, too. It reminded me of the fact that they built the Ark here in my younger days. Her statement strikes me as odd at first. The Kaminarimon was built in the Heian period, from what I remember. I looked into it later, though. Turns out it burned down in 1865, and then they spent time after that building a new one. Miharu wasn't aware of this either, but Diana surprises us even more by telling us the Ark was built toward the end of the Russo-Japanese War. I don't know if Naomi knows all of this or not, but it feels like something worth telling her when she gets back. The height certainly lacks something in comparison to the Sky Tree. Diana makes her opinion clear while she's looking down at the city from the observatory. While I do agree that doing things in reverse order would have been better, I'm not sure how to feel about being told that after paying a hefty entrance fee.
A certain sense you should remember, though. That of Tokyo after being bombed during World War II. I've only seen pictures myself, but I'm sure there was meaning behind the construction of a massive red tower in the middle of all the devastation. The events of previous divine selections are unknown to me.
Oh, so there. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Well, wait. Parka said this is the 12th, I think. But Parka was there for all of them.
So there were divine selections before this?
That seems really odd. Because who was the person holding divine selection before Diana? How did Diana start divine selection in the first place? Because if that's true, then but Diana remembers 12, she thinks, right? Which means that it's still a fact that 108 years, 12 divine selections, and there's supposedly a previous divine selections, which seems a bit odd.
Though anyone who survived wouldn't last much longer after doing so. The only thing fate has in store for soldiers on the battlefield is death, after all.
Diana's eyes narrow as she stares out the window. We're currently participating in the 12th divine selection. The fact that we've reached that number despite it only being 100-ish years since Diana's death isn't normal. That would make one divine selection every 10 years. See, that's what I just said. Discomforting as it is, it makes sense if what she said is true.
People never have become accustomed to sights such as that. What we see now is the result of countless people's efforts. Cities aren't born out of thin air.
Diana's soft tone reminds us of that. Our final destination for the day is the National Park in Shinjuku.
The final destination in more ways than one.
It's also where everything began for me.
Likewise. Naomi seems to have no memories of that, so allow me to pretend that I heard nothing.
I tilt my head in confusion, to which Diana responds with a sigh.
This place opened in 1906, if I remember. Did you ever come here before?
Alas, common citizens such as myself weren't permitted entry at the time. Having this opportunity to enter has me rather giddy.
Traditional Japanese gardens offer quite a different experience from the style in English and French ones. In an ideal world, I would have had the opportunity to witness how this place changes within the seasons.
Saying that, she attempts to flip her hair out into the wind. She quickly realizes that Naomi's hair isn't long enough, leading her to place her hand behind her ear instead.
Oh goodness, I shouldn't even exist in this time period, yet here I am thinking of this as my own body.
I take a moment to come up with a good response. I'd say that it's fate you're here at this moment. Neither say anything in turn. Can't blame them. No one can say that with certainty. The same might even apply for Leith and Parka. We spend a while walking through the park until closing time after that. Alright, you're gonna give us the thing, right? My body makes sure to remind me just how much I've walked today when I get back to my room. I was pretty busy all day, all things considered. We took practically the same route as we did with Sonia, but that didn't make it any easier, especially with so many people around. Mihato's working tomorrow, so it means I'll be taking Diana over there, obviously. I've been there with Naomi before, but never with Diana. Seems like she's taken an interest in the eccentric side of modern Japanese culture. I'd rather stay as far away from there as possible, but I've got little choice now that she wants to go. No point in staying up any longer, so I set my alarm and get ready to sleep. As for Leaf, it still doesn't look too good. Having met up with Diana in Akihabara Station, we make our way to the Maid Cafe. It's kind of amazing that someone from over 100 years ago can even find their way to the station. The streets are busy as expected. This used to be pretty big pedestrian zone back in the day, but that ended after a certain tragic accident. Each and every person we pass has their own lives, their own stories. Diana reminds me of this fact, one that's easy to forget on our way.
Welcome home, my lady. I do need to remind you of which menu item is absolutely off limits, do I, Rinka? Oh my curiosity is piqued.
No, we really shouldn't. Just watch the other maids instead. That should suffice.
Well, if you say so.
There is no repeats of what happened when I was here with Sonia. Never again will I subject myself to such an awkward situation. I mean, what Miharu was doing was really cute, but everything afterwards was too much. I order a coffee for myself and some hot chocolate for Diana. Maid cafes are, of course, all about maids, and when you think of the proper maids, England comes to mind. That leads me to ask Diana about something. Did you have maids in your house back then? We did. We did. My father was rather wealthy, so wait. I thought the park wasn't open to commoners. Anyway, my father was rather wealthy, so we lived in a Western-style house. I like how if you're wealthy in Japan, you live in a freaking Americanized house. Well, it's not really Americanized, a Western-style house. Some came to Japan along with my parents, while others were hired after our arrival. Their outfits weren't quite as bold as Miharu's, however. A number of them passed away before my own death, alas. I nodded in silent response. There's no need to apologize for it, so instead I changed the subject. Oh yeah, I meant to ask, how is it at Naomi's place? What with you not speaking nothing like her and all? Worry not. I make every effort to imitate her while she's at home. Her response is so out of left field that I'm staring at her in surprise. She might have been hoping for as much, judging by her mischievous giggle. Doing so is rather exhausting, though, so please allow me to be myself for now. Sure, whatever. I'd rather she do that. I can only imagine how weird it would be to hear her talk like Naomi despite the huge personality gap. I mean, it's weird enough today. One coffee and one hot chocolate. Miharu, clearly in work mode, brings us our order. After thanking her, we stick around until our shift's over. Whew. Summer, man, it's so hot. I think it's safe to say I had a splendid time. Diana breathes breaths a sigh of joy once back at the station. We make our way to Ueno once Miharu gets off work, mainly go to the zoo and National Museum there. The only issue is we start in the afternoon, which means we have to rush. Diana seems satisfied, though. At the same time, it's likely to be our final experience in the modern day. We have time for one more place if we get moving right away. Worry not, this'll do. There's only so much happiness I can wish for when taking my situation into consideration. Most importantly, I do heed a selfish wish from a selfless lady and escort Naomi to places elsewhere when you can. We will. Let's head back to Lionhouse then. Silence ensues as we wait for the train to arrive. Alright, I'm interested to learn what her regret pardon is. I have a number of theories running through my head, but we'll see if I'm right. Sunday night finally rears its head. Tonight marks the end of the final round of Divine Selection. Myself, Miharu, and Diana are at Lionhouse. We're sitting at the usual table. First and foremost, allow me the pleasure of thanking you both. I had such a wonderful time these past few days. You're welcome. I'm sure Naomi will be happy to know you enjoyed yourself. You said you're different from the Diana we know as Parker, but I honestly think I'd struggle to tell the difference. Oh, that's news to me. She giggles at first and holds a smile. The time has come. Allow me to hand the final piece of the puzzle to you. Wait a minute. I notice a certain cat limping towards us, looking much thinner than usual. It must have realized what's about to happen. I make my way over to it, pick it up, and place it under the table. Yep, it's the ideal spot for Leaf to sit. I have a curious cat. We have a curious cat among us, I see. Diana bends down and pets it. A certain tenderness coats her expression as she does so. One Naomi has never shown before. I can only imagine that Diana would pet Leo like this when she were alive. Now then, let's discuss my regret, and thus commence the curtain call on my fate. That's messed up. Okay, midnight is mere moments away. Miharu and Diana agreed to stay the night with me tonight. Leith gets to join us too, of course. All we can do is see we can see each other in the morning. It's a shame that Naomi can't emerge from me at this point. She can tomorrow at least, right? Indeed. While I may have my regret, I have no attachment to life itself. My fate came to a close long ago. Meeting a descendant of Linda has been something of a relief, though. Now I know that she was able to live a happy life despite being my first vessel. She did. She makes the same tender expression from before. We didn't spend much time together, but I've grown incredibly fond of her, perhaps because she's in Naomi's body. Parting ways hurts, but I'll never forget her. I never anticipated a night like this would come to pass back when divine selection began. At first I was focused on my own survival, but my priorities shifted after seeing you in the Court of Fate. Let me be honest, I was planning on letting you elect me, had you given me a proper response to my confession, regardless of what it was. How was I supposed to know that? I figured you'd be happy! Man, maybe I just suck at visual novels, I don't know. That's not the case anymore, though, and not just because I want to hear your response. I've come to understand the inherent value that comes with wishing for my own survival. Miharu's statement makes me see her in a whole different light. I give her a tiny nod after basking in the radiance of her smile for a moment. I've come to learn a lot of things during all of this, too. I've been entrusted with plenty. There was a time where you, Chu, Mao, and my gran were the only people that mattered to me. I had no interest in anything other than Lion House and school. The things I cherish now are things I never would have considered back then. I better understand how much the world has to offer, even if it's only a little. Most importantly, though, I have come to understand and accept who I am. I see myself as something of an unstable existence, to the point where I'm worried I might just disappear together if I'm not altogether if I'm not with someone. But even so, I want to live. I want to know I'm not alone. That's why I want to live. I want to keep on living and keep on experiencing precious moments in my daily life together with those I know. Man, thanks for continuously reminding me that you have to have a bunch of friends nearby to really be happy with your life. Appreciate it. Leith lets out a meek groan. It's stretching in front of its front legs in the air despite its current state. Thanks, Leith. It's certainly one way to bolster morale. We should do something too. Let's hold hands then. Miharu grabs my hand before I can answer. I grab Naomi's in response, and then she in turn grabs Naomi. One body, yet two individual wills are contained within it. Makes sense. We lie down and form a circle before closing our eyes. See you both tomorrow. We don't need to do anything fancy or cool. All we have to do is believe. Sleep eventually takes us, our hands still joined. Oh boy, it's time for the main event! The final Divine Selection election. I glance around the Court of Fate. This marks the 12th time I've come here. I select that the sight that greets me is one that I've become accustomed to. A number of gears float amongst infinite darkness. I gaze up and notice a faint ray of light piercing said darkness. The circular platform I'm on is about 3 meters in diameter. A witness stand, like you went into court, is attached. This is just one of 12 platforms, all of which are arranged within a larger circular platform like the Clock of Fate. In the center of these concentric circles are massive clock hands slowly ticking away. There was a time when 12 of us were gathered here together, but now there are only 2 of us, Miharu and myself. I turn to face Miharu in the endless darkness. The time's finally come. Indeed. Needless to say, Naomi and Leith aren't with us here. The Court of Fate is a place reserved solely for participants. May have a special power of their own, but it's irrelevant to this place. It wouldn't matter if it was. We're the only ones who need to settle things with Parka, not them. Good evening, my lovely little slaves of fate. The girl in question wastes no time in entering the scene, accompanied by her usual haughty tone. The goddess is all smiles, like always. Pardon me, perhaps there's no need to make a grand entrance when only 2 of you remain. Oh, if only you knew how much it pains me to part ways with one of you tonight. Don't allow me the pleasure of bearing witness to the conclusion you have all reached. Or do. Mind if I ask you something first? What might that be? Can you see what fate has in store for us beyond this point? If it's all predetermined, then what's the point in all this? A fine question. Very well, if its answers you seek, then its answers I shall provide. The way in which I see and understand fate differs greatly from you. I observe a number of potential outcomes simultaneously. Let's just say, for example, that all 12 of you were still present. In that case, I would see individual futures where each of you arrived at the final destination. You'd be seeing right now. Indeed. One where number one reaches her final destination, and one where you do. Of those outcomes, I separate itself. One of those outcomes will separate itself from the primary flow upon your elimination. Once Here we go again with the primary flow talk. Fortunately, I understand the implications thanks to our explanation last time. The world as it is right now is in a state of disorder. Only by removing one potential future can it be returned to normal. Thanks, you've helped me to confirm that are outcomes even you can't see. Oh, I hesitate to ask, but do you even have a brain, or are you so dense on purpose? Or number two's elimination. Those are the only two possibilities that exist left. Even should you choose not to settle things yourself, then that just ensures number one's position as final survivor. She does not believe it for a second that she's wrong. That's gotta, in my opinion, I really like when that happens. Like, for instance, when I'm playing a specific card game that shall not be named, and like I have this way to beat someone that they're so confident that they're gonna win, and then just I have this plan, I have these cards, and I know that I can pull one out of nowhere. Like attacking a dark blue eyes monster. Anyway, I shake my head before responding. Forget all of that. This is the final election. Let's get it over with. Agreed. Revolve, O Crock of Fate. The cord of fate rumbles, prompting the clock hand to move. Will there be an election on your part, number one? She stares me down while posing her question. Her eyes are crystal clear. This is probably how Diana looked when she was still alive. It suits her high-class image rather well. Like, this is gonna... I would feel so kind of weird. It would be like... I'd feel so much anticipation about being like, I'm gonna elect you, number 13. Bam, right. It all helps reaffirm that Parker really is nothing more than a girl who wished to live, a girl who wished resonated with something in our world, a girl estranged from the concept of fate, yet inextricably bound by it. How will you respond? She urges me to answer once more. My answer is obvious. A brief moment of reflection, I state my intentions. There will be. Let's end it here. Not just this final round of divine selection, not just this divine selection as a whole, but the suffering you've had to endure by the hand of fate itself. Goddess of Fate Parka, Diana Harrison, I elect you. My eyes remain locked on hers and announce my election. What? You idiot! Elect me? Come now, that isn't an option. Besides, I'm Parka, Goddess of Fate, not this Diana Harrison you referred to. Her usual smile has been wiped right off her face for once. It's not. Ah, you were on this shenanigan as well? The entire situation has blasphemy written all over it, my dears. Parka, being unfazed by in the face of this, leads to further panic on my part. We have all of her cards. All that's left is to elect her. Leaf said that he took Diana's memories from Parka. Is that why? Wait, no. He never made it clear about what he says, but we make sure to leave a little hint in there. Make sure he did while restoring memories. Credit where credit is due, of course. You had a clear and concise plan, and tried to carry it out without hesitation. Might I assume you caught on to my true objective? I give Parka a nod. Shaking as I am in the face of this, I can't show any fear now. Meowder's showing no signs of concern herself. I'm very keen on taking over your body as my own. You and I seem to share the same essence. Affinity I feel towards you is unlike what I've experienced from other participants. Your existence is warped by fate, much like my own. In other words, you were born with the same power as I, albeit a tiny amount. Most of all, however, that brilliant heart of yours. One truly worthy of being the final survivor. What say you, number two? Will you elect her? Not even you could fish up a world while I say yes to that. That leaves us with no one capable of carrying out an election. Parker's voice echoes through the court of fate. The grin on her face is one of pure evil. As I stand before you, number one shall remain the sole survivor by default. Saying that, she stops the clock and makes her way to the center of the court of fate. Once there, she pinches up her shirt and curtsies. I hereby declare divine selection to be over. Oh, you naughty child. Weren't you taught to follow proper protocol when elected? A voice ever so familiar to Parka's, yet inherently different, makes its presence known. She's here! Yo, she's so cute! I love her design. Good evening, my elegant and haughty self. In front of Parka appears none other than Diana. I didn't even notice her arrival. What is this music? Yo, I'm getting goosebumps. Two girls with identical faces, although Diana's expression is much more stern. Holy shit, they're the same okay. What? Nani? The tone of her voice says it all. She's shaken. This is the first time she's shown this side of herself. Who are you? Why are you even in my court of fate? This weird birdie told me that this place had never really mine to begin with. In fact, the court of fate was given to me as a means to carry out the system known as divine selection. You speak nonsense! Even if another goddess were to exist, this domain remains mine. No one may enter without my permission. Oh, you're quite right. That's why I gave myself permission. Parka stares at Diana in disbelief. She probably can't begin to fathom what was going on right now due to her lack of memories. What's more, she has the feeling of a strange sense of familiarity with Diana, much more than one she feels with me. Am I to take it that we are one and the same? Indeed, I am thou, and thou art I. Born in different times, but equal nonetheless. Equal! You will do your best not to forget your place, child. A kind and compassionate goddess I am not. Take your leave or else. Parkas reaches out towards Diana, who simply shakes her head. There's no smile on her face. If anything, she looks like she feels pity for her. Worry not. I carry every intention of doing so. However, I'm afraid you will be joining me. Neither of us have any right to exist in this world any longer. Diana extends her own hand. The palms of her hands make contact. What are you? Let us return to being one. We must accept what is to come. Their fate. A bright light envelops them both. Good evening. I have come to face my true fate. Parka emerges from it. The change wasn't worth all the theatrics, really. In an instant, Parka's forgotten memories of Diana flowed back into her. She is still very much Parka on the outside, but there's something different about her. That's not Parka as we know it, is it? Diana said they'd return to being as one, so she must have given Parka all of her memories. It's strange. I never realized just how painful memories could be until now. I don't really know what she's referring to. All I can say is she looks upset over what she remembers. The moment of silence follows as she closes her eyes, almost out of control of her emotions. What she's thinking is anyone can guess. She takes a deep breath, once done, and then proceeds with her announcement. Number 1 and myself, allow me to begin the election procedure. My platform begins to move in response, just like the previous elections. Time for me to settle things. Yes, I have something to say to Parker, or rather Diana, before you do, though. We've been together ever since I can remember. We never became close, let alone friends, but I'm sure you were necessary to me. Things never would have ended up the way they did for me without you. I doubt we'll ever meet again, but allow me to say this nonetheless. Think of it as my own magic phrase. See you next time. Thank you. Farewell for now. We begin moving it by the time Miharu finishes saying her piece. The final election has been declared. Kinda hard to believe we reached this stage, huh? We arrive at the upper sanctum on the Court of Fate. I'm the only one standing on the platform this time. Parka's standing on nothing at all, as always. She's even taking a big stretch. It comes as quite a shock for me, who knew I had so many memories. I always thought I was a mere system put in place to ensure my own survival. That wasn't quite the case, though. A system with no emotions that would never attempt to take your body for its own. Perhaps I should have realized my human nature the moment such a desire sprouted within me. I have a question. What will happen to us after your elimination? I see Leo skipped over that part in his explanation. Both you yourself and number 2 will remain upon my elimination. That being said, I love this picture. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. She is such... Mm, she's so cute. I'm super jelly. That being said, the world will attempt to ensure that only you survive following that. Do not fret, however. You have the power to cause a single miracle. Fragments of what people have felt and experienced are gathered in the Court of Fate as a form of energy. Had things proceeded as normal, I would have used this energy provided by the 11 eliminated participants to turn the sole survivor into a vessel for me. My elimination assures that won't come to fruition, of course, thus leaving all that energy unused. Instead, I would like you to make use of it. Make it so that this world, one where number two's death had been undone, becomes part of the primary flow. Use that energy to alter fate itself. While it may be impossible to bring back a world that had split from the primary flow, that has yet to occur tonight. The power that allows me to exist within a real world should have no trouble merging two intersecting worlds into one primary flow. Of course, we can't figure out the role that perception plays in the world's existence. Myself and Leo, not to mention Naomi and Mao, are thinking of a future where you are still alive. You aren't alone in that regard. A simple push is all that's needed to alter fate, though the idea of pushing a concept may sound odd, heh. So I just need to wish for it? Indeed. You could have just said that you need to wish for it. What was with all that hoopla? I mean, I understand why it's the hoopla, it's part of a character, but still. You will become the closest thing to a goddess in this realm upon my, erasure. When all is said and done, this place remains a facet of your dreams. Your perception can easily change the world, so please, wish for the future that you desire most. Now it seems like a good time to continue with your election. Parting ways may become more difficult if we talk longer. I nod at her and open up my card book, probably the last time I'll see this book. All the cards I've acquired thus far flowed out from within it. It's been a long road, so very long. Your name is Diana Harrison. Yes, I may have become Parker, but that name still feels the most appropriate for me. It's a name given to me by my father, one I treasure dearly. Poison was your cause of death. It pains me to even think about those events. Linda must have been heartbroken over her inability to save me. I never once resented her for it. Even in the final moments I wished for naught but her happiness. Both her mother and Linda had no option but to abandon Diana, their own flesh and blood. I can't begin to imagine how much of a relief it would have been to hear her say that. Your regret comes from a desire to redo your life. Quite so. Diana herself made this known to us. The desire is fueled by her thoughts towards those who have passed away. Diana was a special girl. She told us about how she personally felt responsible for the deaths of those 11 people. Her desire to live was what caused them to face the fate originally intended for her. A time came when she was unable to escape it any longer, though. Still, she was able to live on through twisting that same inescapable fate. I had one desire in my final moments, to redo my life and accept what fate had in store for me at that time. Leith may have taken your memories, but the one desire remained within you. That's why you wanted to take my body and live your life. Correct you are. While I wished for my own survival, I never wanted others to die, a selfish slave to fate. That is Diana Harrison. My cards make their way between myself and Parker, emitting light along the way. Allow me to apologize for everything before I go. There's no need for you, Diana, to apologize. Oh? You may not have realized it, but you've long since been forgiven. Are you sure about that? I made countless people suffer under the false pretense of hope given to them as Parker. I cannot speak for the others, but you're no different from me. You just wanted to live. That had been my wish all along, a wish so simple, so obvious, no matter who you may be. Leo was who asked you to save me, was he? How bold of him. Regardless, I never anticipated hearing that from you in the very end. Would that I cry tears of joy? Liar, you're not supposed to say that until you actually cry. Goodness, there's that threatening side of you. Do try to keep it in appearance's only trait. Light begins to engulf the Court of Fate. I'm sure that this is the right thing to do. Saving someone is far beyond my capabilities. I'm sure that I can do what I can do is to come to know them and forgive them all I can. Thank you for everything. I'm the one who chose to part ways with you, but you're thanking me. I have no idea how much of a relief that is. I'm gonna relive her death. It's gonna be kind of painful, huh? Carbon monoxide poisoning. I find myself in a sea of flames once more, a scene I've witnessed countless times by now. Ironically enough, this is where it all started for me. Diana. Parka. There's no longer they're no longer around for me to mutter their names. I can only assume they've returned to their original fate and faced their death from long ago. They were never inhabitants of the real world, so nothing should have been altered following their elimination. Part of me considered the possibility of Parker's actions all being undone, but I don't see that being the case. Seems like I was right. Divine selection itself would have been undone if things played out like that, but I'm still here in the Court of Fate, which proves my point. That's good. My relationship with Miharu, Naomi, and Mao would have changed in that case. I should go. My platform begins to descend in accordance with my thoughts. I still have one last thing to do. Holy shit! Everything was supposed to go well after this. I returned to the lower sanctum after seeing Parka off and then used the energy there to alter fate, just as she told me to. That's how it was supposed to go. What the hell? Fate doesn't seem to have the capacity to be kind, though. Black flames besieged the lower sanctum upon my return. Miharu! Miharu seems to have stayed put while I was gone. Rather, she had no choice to do so. We have no freedom of movement here. It does not apply to my current state, though. I take a page out of Parker's book and run across the abyss towards Miharu's platform. Tring, ka. She's been at the mercy of the black flames. The damage isn't to her body, but her soul. I'm able to tell Miharu's condition despite my lack of physical damage. It proves Parker's claim that I have become the closest thing to a goddess here upon her elimination. Over there. Sounding ever so weak, she points toward the center of the Court of Fate. That's where the source of the flame seems to be. Whoa. There's a girl, wailing in pain. She's holding her head while sobbing, her throat roasted beyond repair. What's going on? Parka's still here. There's no doubt that I eliminated her. I saw her final moments with my own eyes. She would have told me if there were any exceptions due to her status as a goddess. I don't understand. The flames came out of nowhere and... Sorry. It's fine. Don't force yourself to talk. Her condition is similar to when someone inhales too much smoke during a fire. It sounds like her lungs are giving her trouble. The flames are bad news. That's the one thing clear to me in the situation. Meanwhile, Parka sits in the center of it. I need to save her. My body moves before I can think. Running out on absolutely nothing is frightening, but I make my way to the center regardless. Parka's small enough that I should be able to carry her on my back. I need to get away from there, first and foremost. I'll take her over to Miharu's platform. There's no heat from the flames, so I should be able to make contact with them if it's brief. I need to make sure to do this fast, leading me to get as close to her as I can. Ah! Parka continues to cower and wail. Seeing her in pain, I hug her. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. She really does resemble a girl struck by an actual fire. Yo, I like this scene. It's like Diana's death. The situation closely resembles it if you ignore the place and the color of the flames. I have no intention of abandoning her, though. I'll do everything I can to save her. Parka seems completely unaware of my voice, though. She continues to cower and feel, refusing to budge. Ugh. You seem to be in a spot of trouble! Leith, why are you here? This is the first time I've been able to speak with human Leith. That doesn't matter right now. I've come to view my own disappearance, I'm afraid. Using my connection to Parka, and her erasure is the only way to accomplish that. I'll do everything I can to assist you before that, though. Leith knows far more about the dream world than I do, so his timing is perfect. There's no one I can rely on more than him right now. First things first, you should get away from her. He speaks in calm, composed demeanor. She is indeed the source of the black flames consuming this place, but you have every intention of saving her, don't you? I can only assume you think that she's the same Diana you've come to know. Get to the point. Apologies. She may be the same Diana, but
The one you're entirely unfamiliar with. I've told you before how I took most of Parker's memories. Well, most is the key word. I left the bare minimum of memories there in order for her to remain as Diana. In other words, you can think of her as a representation of the memories I left with her. Parker continually gave people false hope, and used their lives as a stepping stone for her own sake through divine selection. Those memories left within her created a personality that grew sick of those actions. A personality that split off from Parker herself and remained hidden all this time. It's a mere conjecture, but I assume this side of her somehow remained separate even after Parker regained the memories I had taken. Thus, the girl you hold in your arms is entirely unique existence. But how? I'm surprised you need to ask. It's only natural to wish for one's own survival, regardless of what happened before. Diana's attachment to life was so great that it transformed her into Parker upon death. These black frames represent her mental state. It's her desire to live, the greatest desire of all humanity. Her continued wish for survival never faltered, even knowing what awaited her. She's trying to recreate the scenario that led her to become Parker in the first place in order to achieve the same result. It just so happens that the feelings of 11 others have gathered here too. Once that happens, the same essence as their own, to boot. Unbelievable. To think she was attracted to her own survival. Simply astounding. Leith? Do excuse me for that outburst. Things have taken the turn for the worse, though. I'm on the right train of thought, then. The situation is eerily similar to the scene of Diana's death. Diana, calm down. Ah. There's little point to that. What should I do? I don't know, honestly. Leith, of all people, says he doesn't know what to do. How am I supposed to figure anything out, then? No, I can't give up here. Leith did all he could to help us, to the point that he became nothing but a frail little cat. Besides, he told me once, I need to handle things on my own for now. I need you to take Miharu back to the real world for me. Can you do that? Already been taken care of. I glanced over to number 2's platform. Miharu was nowhere to be seen. Naomi still has a sliver of my power remaining with her, enough to remain connected to this place, much like how I was able to use my connection to Parker to come here. She must have sensed what was going on and dragged Miharu back to the real world. My will remains connected to hers, which is what made that possible. Even as he says that, the panic over his expression remains. Let me be blunt. My existence won't last much longer. As I said, myself and Parker are connected. Her erasure entails my own. This is my true goal all along, and that only means I had to accomplishing it. I apologize for keeping it from you. Why are you telling me this now? My desire to help you was no facade. Secret though my intentions were, I made sure my actions would never burden you. Don't worry, I trust you. Time isn't on our side. I don't have the ability to help you much more. You can return to the real world while I remain connected to Naomi. This is your only chance to do so. What will happen to Diana if I do? I can hear her groaning even now. The black flames continue to wash over the court of fate. She will become a goddess once more and seek out 12 people connected through the junction of causality. She will continue to carry out divine selection. Electing her will be impossible now that Diana and Parker have been erased. She will exist forever, with survival as her sole purpose. That means one thing. She'll be doomed to suffer forever. I never should have told you. You would have had no issue returning to the real world. Never have I regretted something this much. He probably saw the expression on my face as he explained things. Yeah, now I have to help her! One glance was probably enough for him to understand my thinking, after having spent so much time with my family. You know me too well, don't you? Sorry, my time seems to be up. Leith's body begins to shine. It's similar to when our cards would light up during an election. Thanks, Leith. If anyone should be expressing their thanks, it's me. There's still... Leith disappears mid-sentence. He's returned to his original fate, death, in much less flowery terms. I'm sure he's happy he's able to be with Diana, though. I'm willing to bet that was his wish all along. The issue I now face is Diana before me. It's so good. The flames continue to spread, dyeing the court in jet black. This is all a reenactment of Diana's death, not even the events themselves, but the fear experienced during it. I take a brief, yet definitive look at her. Leith understood my intentions. Yes, my desire to save her.
I have an idea about how to do it. Parker herself told me. She holds no resentment toward her mother and Linda for abandoning her. Is it possible for a person to hold no resentment whatsoever, though? And it is possible for someone who abandoned to hold zero animosity toward those responsible. I mean, it's hard not to be a little upset. Even though you understand it, you know that there is no way that they could have saved you, but being abandoned definitely doesn't feel good, I can tell you that, for sure. It was Diana who split from Parka, not the other way around. Animosity is sure to have built up within her, slow but sure. The cause came down from one thing, her grief and hatred born during that dying moments. In that case, there's only one way to ensure that this scene ends differently than when she died. Don't worry. I'm right here with you. I need to stay by her side. Hold on to her close and offer up a single prayer. Please save her. Set her free. One wish. I am consumed by black flames. My body is charred. Smolder fills my lungs. They burn away my very existence. Oh god, I get goosebumps. It seems like the most accurate description of what's happening to me. I'm being erased in my entirety, not just from this world, but from fate itself. But despite that, my soul refuses to pass on. I persevere with my earnest wish in my heart. So basically, hacks. I wish for the salvation of a girl once abandoned by those she held dear. It's the only way I know how to do things. It's just who I am. And then a voice calls out to me. Chan. Chan? Shit, what was her voice? Can't say I know much about you, but hey, keep it up. You're doing great. It's a voice I've heard before, now that I think about it. Did I meet this woman at some point? Chanho. Wait, who the fuck is Chanho? I must admit, the idea of saving Parka had never occurred to me. Another voice I've heard before. Well, he never, our paths crossed before. Keiko. Standing tall, even within the flames, you really do live up to the name your mother gave you. Oh man, we're getting all the voices. Now this is a voice I could never forget. My will lived on thanks to you. Well, that's how I chose to see it anyway. I don't know what the name of my son was given in the end, but everything you did helped me to accept my fate. I want her to know that her son was named Haruki, just as she wanted. The thought never turns into words, though, no matter how hard I try. Linka! A cheerful young girl's voice calls my name next. Thank you so much for making my wish come true. Yeah, that's right. Sonia believed that we could both survive right until the very end.
Oh ho! As soft as ever, I see. A time might come when you regret it, but that certainly isn't now.
You might want to try saying something nicer. Next up was the unmistakable duo. Judging by Yu's attitude towards Shingetsugu, they're back to their previous relationship. You accepted me not just as a tool, but as a person. That's why you tried to save me until the very end. You overcome a lot since then, but I'm glad you haven't changed. You're still the Rinka I knew.
You're fibbing if you honestly think she hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, you're right. You've learned how to move forward in life, no matter what. Their voices suddenly grow distant. What am I hearing now? Diana's attempting to turn into Parka once more. There's no doubt I'll be used as energy to accomplish that. I'll become cinder and disappear from the world, with my last moments serving as nothing but fuel. And yet... Come on, kid! You really gonna kick the bucket after squaring up with me of all people, are ya? Or, so I'd like to say, but I guess there ain't no need. You ain't going nowhere close to giving in. Good, that's what I like to see. Something tells me... I love how the picture changes. It's such a subtle change, but you see the cracks come out and her hand come out. Something tells me I won't disappear, even in these circumstances. I'd say it feels like I'm being shielded with something, but it's more than that. It's almost like I'm recovering from the effects of the fire. I have nothing but in my heart for you but hatred. Just watching you make your stand freaks me out. If hearing that bothers you, then you better stick to your guns. There ain't be no point in using life as a stepping stone if you end up just like me in the end. Amazingly enough, even Scale's voice reaches me. I can feel my body return to normal each time this happens. I'm not imagining things. I'm pretty grateful to you, Squirt. You gave me the opportunity to finally come out on top of that asshole. But hey,
Props for making an impression on Odette. That proves you're stronger than you look. Well, that's enough from me. Tell Miharu I said hi. My existence is a fragile one. How others perceive me is what's helped me maintain it so far. I lack the means to prove who I am on my own. There may be countless versions of me existing in other worlds out there, but they may as well not exist without that. In the same vein of possibilities can be nothing but unattainable dreams. Your disposition and to help others and never give up borders on ludicrous at this point. I can say for certain that Amrita would make the same decision as you. There's little else for me to say to you at this point. If anything, though, I advise that you prioritize your friends. Everything will be for naught if they lose you, correct? Now that I think about it, yeah, there's bound to be people who can accept their own existence based on my perception of them. That's not a big stretch to believe. Miharu, Naomi, Mao, and even my gran, they all have sides to them that only I know. What would happen if I disappeared? Would they follow suit? Good evening, my dear. Reckless as ever, I see. I must apologize for causing issues even at this stage. Have you been questioning the nature of those voices you hear? The energy gathered within this space comprises fragments that contained the residual feelings and experiences of those eliminated. The fragments hold no sentience of their own, however. You are aware that one's perception of others is what allows them to exist at all. Thus, your perception of these fragments bestow them with a fleeting sentience. Brief though it may be, you granted it to them in their final moments. But even with the overly obtuse explanations, in layman's terms, they are all cheering on your efforts to save me. With all energy gathered here, you should be able to make use of their support, so please wish for a miracle. I can't do that. I've made my decision to stay here with her. I can prevent her death from being recreated by doing so. She'll be able to fade away while remaining human if I do that, right? If that's all I need to do to save her, then I'm more than willing. Yes, you are correct. However, my death can no longer be reproduced, you see. One miracle has already taken place. Her voice vanishes when she finishes her sentence, and in its place my vision returns. I see a girl cowering amongst a sea of flames. A black cat braves the fire and approaches her. It reaches out its paw and touches her cheek. Noticing the cat, she raises her head. Her distraught expression melts into a calm smile. The black flames soon engulf them both. It's amazing how much of an effect something that insignificant can have. That's all I can think of as my subconscious begins to fade once more. Then again, it's not right to call it insignificant. Knowing for sure you're not alone is a miracle in and of itself. None of us are alone, although it's not quite that simple. The fact that you're not alone is something ironically you must believe all on your own. That's why. I think I'm just talking in circles. There's no point in thinking about it now. There's only one choice left for me. I want to live. I voiced my deepest desire, one that's simple and held by everyone. So a miracle happened and the cat died right next to her so she didn't feel alone. The brilliant summer sunshine burns its way through my curtains. As soon as I wake up, I can tell I'm drenched in sweat. Even the mornings are unbearably hot this time of year. I throw open my window and bask in the sun and influx of fresh air. Morning. Good morning. Good morning to you both. Ah, it's classic Naomi. Yes, it's been a while. Good to see you faring better. Thank you. The three of us are able to exchange simple greetings. My eyes drag themselves toward my clock. It's Monday, July 23rd. 4 days till her birthday! God, man, I really want Miharu to end up with Rinka, but that's not going to happen, is it? The day after Divine Selection's final round, we did it. Both Miharu and I were able to survive. My excitement over that is soon interrupted as I take a good look around my room. Makes sense. We never really expected a big happy ending. Thank you for everything, Leith. I expect my thanks to the small corpse curled up on my bed. It's not quite sure how things ended, but it's certain that this cat's fate is now sealed. After over 100 years of caring for its owner, it's finally able to pass away. Its peaceful expression as it dies says it all. This is the first death I've witnessed that can't be undone. Now I can understand how determined you were. Miharu drops to her knees in order to pet it. I don't know that this was his plan. Naomi sits down, tears welling up in her eyes. Soon enough, the tears begin to stream down her face. do not remember anything that happened. I... You two head downstairs first. We'll talk about what happened there. I offer a silent prayer for Leaf after they're gone. I cry too. It's been with me ever since I was a kid. The memories flood back, causing my tears to flow. After my tears run out, I wrap it in a blanket. I need to explain things to Miharu and Naomi. Damn it. I figured that would just disappear. It'd be easier that way. But the body's still left. I brew some coffee and explain the events that took place in the dream world while we all sip away at our drinks. This discussion isn't a fun one. No one likes talking about goodbyes. I can vaguely remember what happened while Diana was inhabiting my body, but nothing about the events during the 12th election. How do you feel? Are your memories okay? They are, yes. I probably don't know much about the current world's state as a result, though. All I remember is the time I spent with you. Sounds fine to me. We're all in the same boat, so we can really rely on Mao if anything comes up. How much do you remember, Miharu? Everything till those black flames appeared. It's weird to say, but I blacked out within my own dream, but that's what happened. I was there when with you two when I woke up. I see. I'm a bit hazy on what happened at the very end, truth be told, but I do my best to recount everything that happened up until this morning, and thus begins a long, long story. It would have been shorter if I didn't have to struggle with so many fuzzy memories, not to mention time has passed, so it's so hard to remember everything considered how much happened. Once done, we make our way to a certain place as instructed. That is, the theme park! Oh. Final destination! Alright, okay. We came here on Saturday as well, but this time for a different reason. I have to inform my Gran about Leaf before we leave. That prompts her to say that she'll leave tonight and come home for a bit. Makes sense. She spent even more time with it than me. I'm sure she wants to say her goodbyes as well. I made a place for it to rest using a blanket and basket and some blankets. It's a bit simple, but it's the best I can manage for now. Ideally, I would have brought it along with us, but that wouldn't be appropriate. I couldn't stay behind either. We have no choice but to come here today. That's our fate, it seems. The weather's quite lovely today. She's right, there isn't a cloud in the sky. The sun is as bright as ever thanks to that. Just keeping my eyes open is a struggle, but I'm fine with that too. It's kind of like a sign how we've won. I'm not sure how far fate's role extends across the world as a whole, but at the very least we can say we prevailed over the deaths that had planned for us. One could say that our being alive now is fate. I think that feels like a positive spin on things. Yeah. We stand together, surrounded by a sea of green. So many people worked in order to save me over the course of all this. I never once expected that I'd die during it. You're the same as us, then. We must live with the memory of our own deaths. That's rather frightening, haha. It doesn't matter now. It's all in the past. What does matter, though? I extend one hand out in front of me, reaching nowhere in particular. There's no deep meaning to it. It's just a simple gesture. A number of people have entrusted their feelings and desires to me, the more I could ever have anticipated. I'm here right now, and it's all thanks to them. Thank you. The only things that lay beyond me are the sun and the blue sky. If anything, this all feels a bit underwhelming as the ultimate reward for living through the 12 turbulent weeks. But I don't mind. Who's up for taking a look around since we're here? Me? Yes, that does sound quite nice. I gladly accept whatever's in store for me in this place. Please tell me I answer Miharu. It's finally time, baby! Matt was the first to show up. We're smack dab in the middle of summer vacation. We made plans to go see the fireworks display. Sure is hard to plan things out when you're so busy with the store. Miharu's busy with work and Naomi's busy with cram school. This might be the first time we've all been together since your birthday. I think you're right. Last time we were all together was July 27th. I completely forgot about my own birthday, so I opened up the store like it was just any other day. The three of them came around as a surprise once I closed up. Funnily enough, Mao was convinced that I would forget.
I mean, I don't know. I've never really had much significance with my birthday, so. Miharu made dinner for us, and Naomi brought a cake she baked at home. Miharu was worried because she didn't know what kind of food I liked best, causing her to make a number of Italian dishes. I never really bring up my favorite foods now that I think about it. The puttanesca she made was good though, nice and red. Naomi, remembering that I'm not too big on sweets, made a chiffon cake. It was decorated with cream, but not one that wasn't too sweet. Gotta say, it was some impressive work. The flavor was tea-based, which led me to believe that she may have been influenced by Diana somewhat. Well, maybe I was overthinking things. What's more, all three of them got me individual presents as well. Miyaharu gave me a rich bouquet of red flowers. Red is my favorite color, so the store felt even more Rinka-esque after putting them in a vase and using. Oh my gosh. I feel like the flowers are like the perfect thing to get your girlfriend. Anyway, putting it off. Like she should have answered. Anyway, Naomi took a book, a hardcover version of a foreign novel that Naomi loved. Um, While simple to read, it posed some philosophical questions. It even had a nice cover illustration. Mal gave me an assortment of hand lotions and stuff. I spent a lot of time washing tableware here, so it's perfect for keeping my hands nice and smooth. She even made sure to pick out scentless ones so I won't stink up the store. Seeing how much thought they put into their gifts made me happy. My grand even gave me a call that night, so suffice to say that it was a great day. Oh yeah, Naureen said she was going to borrow a yukata from home, so she met us there. That means we're waiting for just one more. Sorry for the wait, you two. Miharu appears 10 minutes after Mal. Any idea when Naomi will arrive? Oh, we're just going to meet her there. So what order should we do this in? We all agreed to wear yukata. If there's one appropriate time to wear them, it's during fireworks display. I'm borrowing one of my grand's old ones, while Miharu and Mao got theirs from a place Miharu knows. On the cheap, thanks to the acquaintance of hers at work. You should change first, Rinka. Then you can come and help us pick ours out. A solid plan. Might be a bit annoying to walk around in, but hey, take one for the team. Okay, mind coming to my room and helping me put it on, Miharu? Why no, not at all. They apparently had a yukata uniform day or something at her work, so she claims to have gotten used to helping others put them on. You come too, Mao. You have a crucial task of taking some pictures of her while she's freshly dressed. Huh? Me too? Rare for you to say that. I still haven't given. Hi! We had a confession, and she hasn't rushed me for once, but sometimes she does shoot me with those puppy dog eyes. I think I'm pretty sure about my answer, though. All that's left is if I'm. Oh, okay. Wait. That's gotta mean that she's accepting, right? That's gotta mean that she's accepting, right? Please. Funny how I don't have the courage to respond to one single confession after everything I've done during Divine Selection. I just chuckle at myself and we make our way up to the room. We see that, right? We better freaking see that. Whoa. I love that scene. I like how the lights flashed. Wow, amazing. It's so pretty. I was entrenched for a moment there. I'm glad we came. The display is packed, as expected. We aren't able to find a spot to sit and watch because we start looking too late in the evening, but we do find a place with a decent view. You'd think we were the only ones there since it was a bit out of the way, but nope, plenty of others had flocked to the same area. The display itself is enough to make us forget about everyone around us, though. I've been looking forward to this. It has been on my mind every day, it hasn't been on my mind every day or anything, but the realization that I've made it to this day has left me speechless. I gotta say, I love this scene right here with all of them in yukatas looking up at fireworks. It's really cool. We probably couldn't have sat down somewhere if Miharu didn't take forever picking out her yukata. Wait a minute, don't throw accusations at me when you took even longer. Sorry, my short-term memory loss is at it again. I don't think we've been out and about in the yukata since elementary school. I remember not being too fond of the idea back then, which led me to being forced into it. Then again, I might have thought they looked pretty back then, too. How far in are we? Mao's yukata is a pretty flashy design. The kind you'd expect for people our age.
We're only about halfway. I'm sure they're getting the rest ready right now. The next batch should be more amazing than the last. Meanwhile, Naomi looks more mature than usual. I think it's because she borrowed her mom's yukata, which has an adult charm to it. I figured she'd trip at some point to break the illusion, but miraculously, though, that hasn't happened yet. My girl's come so far, is what I'd say if I was her mom. Very awkward. Apparently, there are around 15,000 fireworks in this display, so that means we've already seen 7,500. How about you, Mao? Up for counting them to see if I'm right? Miharu's yukata has a nice harmony between design and color. It goes well with her usual looks, making her seem a lot older than she is. Most people will be surprised to hear that we're the same age. Pass, maybe next year. Oh, yeah, next year. Maybe that's why her rare smile every now and again makes her look younger. We'll definitely come back. You won't you have entrance exams to worry about? Ain't a problem. We'll just come back if we keep our heads in the books. Yeah. Agreed. I'll start thinking about it once our summer holiday is over, so please spare me. Naomi lets out a forced laugh, and then the crowd around us starts to get noisy again. The second half probably about to start. Whoa! Amazing. The second half manages to be even flashier than the first. The display doesn't let us look away for even a moment. What? Oh boy. I hear Naomi and Mao's utterances between the pops of the fireworks, and then I notice that they're trying to distance themselves from us. Wait! Mao's face contorts into an indescribable expression as I make eye contact with her and she sticks her tongue out at me. You can't fool me, kid. I know exactly what you're trying to do. Oh man, I couldn't even create this little scenario without Mao and I look up to Miharu while I'm still feeling sorry for myself. She definitely hasn't noticed them sneaking off too. I definitely noticed them sneaking off too, but her eyes are glued to the trails of smoke left behind by the fireworks, most of the time that is. She sneaks a quick glance at me every now and again, her face beat red. She's more aware of those sorts of things than I am. Please kiss! There's no secret that she knows what's going on. I turn my head away for a moment out of embarrassment. I see Mao and Naomi come into view as I do. When I make no effort to remain hidden, they practically are biting their nails. I inhale as I try to organize my thoughts. Miharu already took the plunge back when she confessed, so now it's my turn. Oh my god! Miharu. I turn to face her and call out her name. She turns to answer, although it's obvious she's trying to act oblivious. There's no doubt in my mind about it anymore. The loudest firework of the night has to go off at that very moment. I know. Maybe this is down to fate as well. It was I love you. Had to have been. Had to have been. You cut it off like that, damn it! Well, thank you all for watching this series. It has been great fun, but the fun has to come to an end. If you guys are curious about the other endings or want to play through the game yourself without my commentary, make sure to check this game out. When I bought it, it was on sale for $16. Even at its regular price of $20, it is still a pretty decent price for about 30 or so hours of gameplay. So definitely check that out and make sure to check out all the other endings as well. Thank you all for enjoying this wild ride with me. Make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. Let me know your thoughts on the series. Of what you think about this game in the comment section. I really, really would appreciate hearing your thoughts. And we'll see you all with the next visual novel series next time.